Yo guys, how's it going? We're back with our Minotaur on our ProAcryl road test, and on the last stream we did some pretty meh looking non-metallic metal. You guys know it's not really in my bag, it's not really what I do. I'm much more for true metallics, but it looks passable. Is it good? No. Was it a good road test of our paints, however? Yes it was, very much so. So we got a lot done with that. We got to see exactly how their white works through the airbrush, just like you'd expect, a little bit speckly. Lord Gitface coming in with a sub. Dude, thank you so much. 5 months now, man. Absolute legend. Yeah, you got to see how their white worked through the airbrush, a little speckly, same as every other white paint that isn't white ink. So, you know, not a surprise. Got to see that black going through the airbrush and their black used as a wash. Both of those tests were pretty damn successful. Today, though, we're going to push it. We're going to paint one of the hardest things on a Mini anyway, and that is painting white. A lot of people find painting white a massive struggle. It's something that once you have learned a few processes, it becomes easier. Except all the processes that I've learned have been with the paints over there on the racks and not with these new ProAcryl ones. So let's see how these get on. Now, for anyone that was watching the last stream, we did have some issues with our brush, the Bombwick Igniter. Now, we've given this a load of cleaning using the Gentastic brush group. I'm going to give it another try. I'm hoping that it behaves itself a little bit more. If not, then we will try and paint the rest of the Mini using this synthetic artillery brush, which I actually just genuinely like anyway. Kind of a fan of this brush. Works well for putting down large base coat layers. Works really well for pin washing. Nice sharp point on it. Don't know how long that'll last for, but currently, at least, it's good. However, we are going to do the most important road test with a brush, and we forgot to do this on stream last time, mostly because it wasn't the morning. You must use your brush to stir your coffee, and if it can't do this, then frankly it's no good as a brush and should be binned. But it needs to be able to break up the sugar cubes in the bottom of your coffee and provide a nice homogeneous solution that's both sweet and bitter all at the same time. Yeah, that part was good. It's okay. It's passed the coffee test. Will it pass the actual usage test later on, though? That's the real question. We're going to start off with the artillery brush, though. I'm just going to get some base coats down on this. No point using the smaller brush to do large areas. I'm going to start off with this bright, warm grey. I kind of love the colour naming convention. Bold titanium white, dark, warm grey. So it's either going to be a warm, a neutral, or a cold colour, light or dark. I kind of like where they go with it. I love the fact that there's a paint in there that's a blue paint that they've just called blue. What colour is it? Blue. Yeah, I know that. What colour blue? No. Just blue. So you got a dark warm grey on the pattern. Yes, of course I used a brush to stir coffee. I always use a brush to stir coffee. Liang, how you doing, bro? Main unit, what up? How hangs it? Little to the left. Polly says, good morning, using a rubber brush for the coffee. Gotta love the taste of Milliput in the morning. Ugh. Which kind of Milliput? You know, there could be multiple flavours there. You may have to taste the entire Milliput rainbow. Still not in love with these caps. Like that's some proper spooge right there. Always to the left. Snack Punch, been showing way over, but belated Discord hangout, had me up for a bit. Glad to see you again, sir. Hey, man. Belated birthday, Discord. Well, that's even better. Happy birthday, bro. Hope you're having a good day. You got anything planned for it? Anything special? I appreciate you can't necessarily go out and do all of the fun things you might want to, but hopefully you find something at least. Right, we're going to paint this over what's kind of a dark reddish brown anyway, and we're using this bright warm grey. And let's see how this applies. The darker grey, this one, worked really, really well as a base coat for all of our armor panels over a similar colour. Let's see what kind of coverage this gets. We have thinned it with water. Not a lot, just a little. Just want to avoid any really visible brush strokes from forming. And we are using this synthetic brush, so it's not going to have quite so much paint on it as a sable, but to be honest, that is covering reasonably well. The story will be fully told once we see it when it's dry, of course, but right now it's doing okay. Obviously trying very hard not to get any of this on the fur, but that's one of the reasons why we leave the highlights on the fur till absolute last. We can go back and just fix any mistakes that have made. Think banana flavour, and it's nothing like it. Brilliant. Tilts, I've given it a good clean, and then we'll see what it's like later on. I haven't used it since. We gave it a very, very good going over with the Gentastic Drunken Brush Goop, and hopefully that'll fix it. If it doesn't, well, we'll try and use this sable for the rest of this mini, so we can at least fully road test their brushes as well as their paints. That was the entire point of this experiment, and it's been a fun challenge. Was to really take the monument sets and push them to the limits of what I tend to do as a painter, painting my own way, my style. Obviously, Jason formulates them, and they work great for his style of painting. And there's a lot of other artists out there that use them and rave about them. It works for their style of painting, but does it work for how I like to paint? That's been the big question to be answered. Now, it's starting to look good, and it probably looks okay on camera, but let's crash zoom on this guy, and you'll notice that, well, actually you won't notice on camera because it's still a little bit shiny, it's blowing the camera out, but there's definitely, we need a second coat for this one. Nidge, how you doing? Snipe Punch, the 26th of last December. Oh, damn, man. We're probably having a good time. Well, happy, very belated birthday then, in that case. Trunk Mystic, good morning to you too, bro. Basil Starms, migraine. Sucks, man. I couldn't even have gotten as far as you've got this morning, so... yeah, tougher man than me. I can't even open my eyes. Well, I'm done. Yeah, could just be a bad batch. Could be a bad brush. There's every chance that it's been kicked around a little bit during shipping and, you know, not had a good life. Sometimes brush soap can fix things like that. You know, just give it a nice condition. You know how if you've maybe been wearing a pair of headphones all day and it's like an over-the-head set like this, and it puts a crimp in your hair, and you can tell that I know exactly what I'm talking about from this perspective. But then you go and have a shower, you wash your hair, and your hair goes all back to natural again. Sometimes brush soap can do the same thing for a brush. It can help to just like get rid of the kinks and help it along its path back to being a perfectly usable, normal brush again. Sometimes it can. That's why we've given it a shot. Now, we would normally use the Masters brush soap for cleaning. Janelle sent an article over. Well, it's not an article. It was somebody's Facebook rant post, basically, about Masters brush soap being shit. And having read it, I'm firmly of the opinion that they don't know what they're fucking talking about. Because they started spouting off about, oh, you know, use it on your hair and see what it does to your hair. It's a cleaner to remove paint that may have been dried on course it's going to be a little bit more abrasive than your Naturals shampoo or whatever you use. Don't use it on your fucking hair. I've never understood people making that comparison. They do different things. Totally different things. And the makeup of your hair is different to the makeup of hair on a ferret. On its bushy ferret tail. So, you know. Main unit, do you have a date planned for Necronathon Part 2? I do. Moving on. Yeah, I do. It's quite likely to be one of the last weekends of Feb. I think, I want to say it was going to be... For some reason I had in my head it was the 20th and 21st, but I don't know why it was going to be that particular weekend and not the 27th, 28th. I'm not I think it was because of the last of the giveaway stream and it possibly messing up the giveaways on that, depending on how we are going to do giveaways for the Necronathon, because obviously there's going to be some. More on that later. So sometime in February is the plan. Now, whether, of course, things go to plan, as they frequently don't, is the thing. I still need to get a load of assembly done. Obviously, I've got my own Silent King to finish the assembly on. I've got a couple of planes to assemble, the Doom planes. Which we obviously want to magnetize for the guns. We can just turn them straight into a night sight should we ever wish to. And so on and so on. We might end up having to do the Necronathon 3. Because I'm not sure we'll get everything done. The first one was quite a challenge. We will absolutely go for this, hand on heart, giving it our absolute best. Yeah, there you go. You can probably see on the front of that now. That's a bit patchy, a little bit rough in places. We are going to need a second coat. So, yeah, definitely going to do it. Going to give it our absolute best, like I said, but there's a lot to paint. We'll see what we can do, though. We'll see what we can do. Tilts, get out. Get out. You know, redraw the mystery giveaway from last month now. Unless I receive a full written apology. No Omega for you. So going on with the second coat, we're getting a pretty good coverage out of this now. So my normal way of painting grey is to start off with Celestra Grey, which is a base paint from G-Dubs. Because of that, it's kind of thick. And you'll still need 2 coats for a solid base. Especially over something like we were painting over here. We were painted over a reddish brown. So red, usually a very strong pigment, and can be difficult to get coverage over. Sunday. Bimon, Sci-Fi Con. One of the best episodes of The Simpsons. So yeah, I'm not overly surprised it's taken 2 coats. I was hoping we'd get it in one, like we did with the shoulder pads. So even though, you know, some of those areas were a little blotchy, but you know, we made it. We did okay with them. This is that bright warm grey. The next thing we're going to do is going to start working our shadows in. And so we're going to be glazing in that dark warm grey to get that done. That's going to be fun. Let's see how we get on with that. These things kind of okay with glazes. They still keep a little bit of their pop. They still work very, very matte as well, which is good. That's one of my favourite features of these paints. I mean, we've done a matte varnish, a dull coat over that NMM to protect it more than anything else. But it is very matte. The skin here is a little bit satin, but I'm totally fine with that. It's the skin tone. But that's mostly to do with the flow improver that we've used when we did the airbrushing work on it. This looks spot on. Right, let's grab our dark warm grey then, this one, and we'll make up a glaze. Mr. Enigma says, started being on my Blood Bowl team yesterday, Brad the Gulchi, and then ended up being called Vorag the Torch, so I was going to throw him in the barbecue. Hardest me ever built. Really? That's surprising, because normally the Blood Bowl minis, especially the plastics, are reasonably straightforward. And so I'm a little surprised by that. I strongly suggest you completely avoid building something like the Incarn then, because that's a fucker. There's a part that you have to try and connect to the like the ghosts, the spirits that are flowing around her. And in the instructions, where the instructions have been digitally created, they actually completely miss out the part that attaches. I started looking at mine, trying to work out the sub-assemblies, and I couldn't work it out. In the end, I had to glue the fucking thing together, which was absolutely not what I wanted to do, just to find out where this thing went. That's the worst mini that I've ever assembled. Silent King was a bit of a pain. It's not really. There's just, if you want to take the easy route and sub-assemblies, then there's a lot of work to do. I'm kind of used to that. Any big Forge World kit from not recently. So if you were to get yourself something like Khitan Demon Engine of Khorne, it's a beautiful kit. Creepy Kangaroo, how you doing? However, they don't actually give you instructions. They give you some badly photocopied you can tell it's just been Xeroxed on their office photocopier and fired out to you. Don't like that at all. Right, we're going to start our shadows here where you can't really see it, just so we can get a bit of a tester for how this is going to go. This ought to be our darkest shadow, so if this comes out a little bit too thick, that's fine, because it's in that recess. And then same under here, we'll just pop our shadow down. This could definitely be thinner. Let's really start to break this down a bit. So now we're working with pretty much water, the tiniest speck of paint in. Let's try our first real glazing on the shadows there. So we're getting this right into the recess, which is great, but it's so thin now, it's only really hitting those recesses, and it is providing a little bit of a a stain, which I'm not loving. The highlights are going to have to work hard to cancel some of that out. Fuck. Just got an actual lump of paint on there. The project stuff looks rough. Is it as bad as it looks? Some of it is terrible. Some of it's great. Some of it's really, really good. Leviathan Dreadnought, Custodes Dreadnoughts, Contemptor Dreadnoughts, all of these, because they get bought so much, the molds are frequently being refreshed, and therefore you get a kit that's good. If you buy a Forge World kit that is rarely bought, like a Blood Slaughter of Khorne, something like that, something you almost never see on a tabletop, then it's probably going to be a little bit shite. And a Fire Raptor, one of the 40k chats I'm in yesterday was somebody saying, has anyone ever assembled this and know what they're doing? And the majority of the chat that has assembled one said that's the one mini I would definitely commission someone to build for me. And that was really, really unhelpful, because it turns out that the guy that was trying to build it had been commissioned to build it. So we have somebody here that quite a lot of the time builds minis on a commission basis, and even he's looking at this thing like, what the fuck do I do here? Again, their instructions for that are copied on the office photocopier and chucked in a box. They're not good, and I've seen some pretty horrifying examples of the Fire Raptor being sent out, and there's a base plate that it all sort of sits on. That's like part of the superstructure of the plane, and it should be flat, and this was almost like half a Mobius strip. Absolutely not good. So the only way to fix that is to get a strong piece of like thick card or hardboard or something along those sorts of lines. Put it onto, use a hairdryer and warm that resin, let it soften, let it melt, and let it come down, and get another board right on top of it, put some pressure on those and let it cool. You've just got to hope that it doesn't spring back into its like pre-fucked shape with the elastic memory. Right, so we've applied this dark warm grey as a glaze, and I'm not loving it. We're getting a little bit of let me just narrow the exposure down just a touch. Hope you see what's going on there. We're getting a little bit of this stain happening, which I really dislike. But that's fine. I'm kind of half expecting it, because we're going to need to tidy it up when we do our highlights. But the overall tone that we're getting with the dark warm grey is fine. Okay with that. I just want it to be a little darker. This is part of the issue with thinning the paint so much with water, is you're essentially breaking pigment out of the medium now. There's way more water than there is acrylic medium left, and so you will get these very strange pools if you put too much paint on. And we're using this synthetic because it's a larger brush, which is ideal for glazing. Don't want the smaller brush for that, because we want the belly to hold enough paint. But that is giving me a little bit of, unfortunately, occasions where we get too much paint on that. What's his number? I have no idea. Well, actually I know it because he's in the WhatsApp chat, but I'm not giving it out. I'll tell you what, they're great kits. I remember the time where GW will say it was a mistake. They changed the points to about 90 points in 8th edition, and suddenly everyone bought 3. Then they realised what they'd done, and points went right back up again, and people have got 3 sat on their shelves. So you might find a wargamer down this luck that's eBaying the fuck out of those. Well worth keeping an eye out, I reckon. Right, so we've got our shadows on there. Now let's try and blend in our highlights a little bit more. We're going to take some of that bright warm grey, mix that into the glaze that we've just created, thin that right down so we get a mid-tone between the two. This actually looks about the colour of Administratum Grey from GDub. I'm going to use this and just layer it on now. To just get some of the rough edges off of our shadow. Don't mind doing the layered look because we're going to put on quite a few layers to blend it all the way up to white. Doesn't need to be super smooth. Just having that bright white is going to be enough to really snap everyone's focus away from some of these rougher areas. But at least we've got our shadow. Now remember, if we had the transparent paint set that Monument do, we probably would have been able to use something in there. I know there's a transparent black. That might have been, well, that almost certainly would have been way too much of a contrast. But we don't have any of the washes, and rather than buying all of the additional sets, we're road testing the shit out of this base kit. It's the entire point of this month's giveaways was to really push ourselves on these. Unfortunately, website lists a kit as plastic and resin. How much is plastic, or is it just the windows? I have no idea, dude. I have no idea. I don't think it shares anything whatsoever with the Storm Raven, which is the only flyer that comes close to it. Apart from potentially those window paints. Right. So that's given us a pretty okay set of texture at the front. I'm going to bring that up a little bit brighter with this, and then we'll go into that bright warm grey again to start getting some highlights down on that. But at the front, that looks good so far. Not the most complicated set of white that we've had to do so far in any miniature. But let's work through it. So let's grab more of that bright warm grey. We're going to do a pass with this, and white, and then a final highlight with just white. Let's see how we get on. So let's thin this just a touch more. And I suppose we should now go on to the other brush. Bloody Raynas. Cheers, dude. God. So there's our point. Looks pretty pointy. We've got a nut. I was about to say we've got a nice bit of spring in the brush, but we haven't. So when you do a brush stroke, like so, the brush should not look like a fucking banana. Let's give it a wash just in case it's some of the soap still there. Look at that. Look at that fucking hair. That's still a funny angle. It's at a funny angle. I don't like this. You can only brush from one side. Since you brush from another, that hair that's ever so slightly longer, clearly that one gets in the way. Don't know if you can see it just hanging out there on the side. Right. shouldn't do this. But there's no reason that that hair right here sticks out, because it is shorter than the rest of those. Could be the ferrule, but it looks pretty uniform. Never pull out a brush hair, by the way. Never pull out a brush hair. Because if you do, you run the risk of getting it all the way down here at the root, pulling that all out, and therefore the rest of your hairs don't sit quite as tight anymore, and that's a really bad thing. So take it right down to the base and clip it off here rather than up here. That way you've removed all of that hair from being in the way. So that's behaving much better now already. Okay. Morning painting messiah. I'm not the messiah, I'm a very naughty boy. Is it possibly a way for it to, yeah, don't think so. It wasn't the guide hair. So the guide hair, for those not in the know, is a slightly longer bristle. And I mean slightly, we're talking tenths of millimeters at the longest, that sits right in the middle. This is how I know it wasn't the guide hair, because it was situated right on the edge. So maybe it was meant to be the guide hair, and whoever made the brush, whether a machine or by hand, they might just fucked it. It's possible. Who knows? But let's give this brush a try with some paint on it now. See how it performs after we've removed that hair. So we're looking in at our largest creases. Along the bottom of our tabard, loincloth. What really are we talking about here? Now this is behaving much better. It's still separated at the tip. Yeah, you're still getting a bit of a chisel tip going on. You can see from this side, nice point. From this side, kind of a chisel. Pro Jam, I'm not reading that out. This is Sable. This is the Igniter Kolinsky Sable brush. This is about 2/3 the cost of the Windsor & Newton Series 7s that I always use. And as you can see, you're getting about 2/3 the brush as well. But right now I'm feeling like I'm getting about half the quality. So currently we're not impressed whatsoever with these brushes. The Sable being the worst one. The artillery brush, the synthetic brush, I actually genuinely like it. Might pick up a few for just like smashing out base coats on stuff, saving some wear and tear on the Series 7s, but this is doing an okay job. I don't like the fact that it's a brand new brush that doesn't have a sharp point on it. Certainly if I was painting eyeballs, I think I'd have a really hard time with this brush, despite the fact that the brush is so much smaller than my Series 7, which is what I normally paint eyeballs with no issues whatsoever. Other than the obvious issue of you're painting an eyeball, it's not necessarily easy. Some of them are pretty straightforward, some of them are just the devil's work. Right, doing a little bit of texturing at the bottom of this. There we go. Rival Sarah, how you doing? I've had a brand of synthetic recommended to me, as I think I normally use Series 7 normal. Fair. That's my go-to. It's the literal best brush as far as I can work out. Just is. Right, so we've built up a few layers there. We're getting something that's coming towards a nice bright grey on the edges. We've still got a nice bit of recess work there. Obviously we're building this up to full white, so we'll stop on the front, move around to the back and do the same thing here. And I'm going to go on a limb and say that this brush is okay. Broken Toad Fugazi brushes are really good and they're synthetic. Nice. I would normally, and got great case in point right here in the chat, I would normally support a UK business much more than I would support an overseas business, as long as the quality is there. And so of course we got Rival Sarah in the chat. The Rival Crafts products, !Point Rival, are absolutely phenomenal. Like, absolutely phenomenal. You won't find better. The fact that they're based in this country, and I'm not bringing them in from overseas, and it's a local business, essentially. I mean, it's a couple of hours drive away, but it's a local business. Ticks a box for me. Like that's important. But certainly the Monument guys, whilst they're not made in the UK, like my beloved P3, Jason is a community member. And so happy to support him. The paints are epic. The lids I don't love as much. Mostly because I think there's more wastage. But I'm not sure if that's just because it's very obvious at the time I can see it as wastage. Whereas, if I grab a dropper bottle that I know is a bit, like, did I clean this recently? So here we've got a load of wastage. It's in the cap. It's all around here. But to me, it doesn't feel like wastage because it's hidden. Whereas with these, you get a little spooge at the top. That makes it feel like I'm wasting paint. Cadian Ranger, how you doing, bro? Woke up this morning to a million notifications on Patreon. I'm like, oh shit, what's happened? And it's you leaving comments on my stuff. Thank you very much. I was a little bit like, uh-oh. First thing though. Loads of new stuff went up on Patreon yesterday. We did 3 written guides because I took the video that we shot and broke it down into 3 easy sections. One for each element of the Void Dragon. We'll show him off in just a sec. And we put up the video on how to paint the gold and how to do the purple glow on the Void Dragon as well. So that means, of course, next week you can expect 2 written guides, one for each of those 2 sections, to go alongside our YouTube video, which, whilst we're painting white here, is also going to be on how to paint white. But that's going to be painting white power armor, where, unlike this bit of cloth, you have loads of places to hide. You have nowhere to hide on that. Mate, that reddish red, that's the red. Speaking of, this is one of the guides that's on this, was the how to paint black. We used the chaplain for that. We are currently converting up a Primaris Apothecary on bike for the Raven Wing Apothecary. So he's got the plasma guns on the front and all that sort of stuff instead. We're going to use that for the how to paint white. So that's going to be a very cool video. But this guy, the reason I got him out this morning was because, don't know if you guys remember, but back in November, we painted him up for the Amsterdam Battle Brothers Busy Brush Brawl Battle. That's not difficult to say when you're dyslexic as fuck, I'll tell you. It says here, best painted infantry model. which I felt really bad about when I got the trophy this morning. So I messaged Dean and said, was it meant to be infantry? He said, no, it's just meant to be character. But we wanted the character to not be like a big character, such as Magnus or something. And so that's why this, but the bike was totally fine. So super happy with this. There's some really stiff competition in that category. So that's going to be displayed proudly later on. But here's the Void Dragon. Here's where those Patreon guides and videos we were just talking about were filmed using. I love this mini. This is absolutely my favourite GW mini. Possibly even of all time. The sculpt is epic. The whole model, the entire assemble of the model is epic. It just is. We've done a guide on how to do the purple glow and the gold. Now the gold, there's a brush tutorial for it, as well as an airbrush tutorial for it in that video. And then for the purple glow, there's obviously quite a large airbrush tutorial in there. Now the written tutorials that went up on Friday were how to do Blackstone, for which there is a brushed and airbrushed version of that tutorial. How to paint the blades, the power blades, down at the bottom. So there's one example of it here on the Void Dragon. Here's some more examples of exactly the same technique. These haven't had their final highlight yet, used on the Silent King and his minions. Even that orb right there, exactly the same technique used on this. So we did Blackstone, blades, and then finally the Bone Crons. This little dude, the parasitic backpack, that went up there as a guide as well. So if you want to paint your Necron army in bone, that particular guide, really good one to use. Of course, as Patreon members, you also get access to a second giveaway every month that we don't publicize on Patreon, but it's a Twitch giveaway. You just need to be a video viewer or higher tier Patreon. And last month's Patreon giveaway, not quite been posted yet, was this dude. This is the Ogrid Myrmidon from Warcry. I fucking love him. I really do. He finished this guy off on New Year's Eve with some blood splatter effects, some really cool basing. But look at these skin tones. These are just... they're beautiful. Really cool. So yeah, that's the kind of thing you can win by being a Patreon. Right, now we're going to take some of this white, we're going to mix this in 50-50-ish with our bright warm grey. Give us a good mid-tone between the two. So we can use those white highlights we're going to put on for our absolutely final edge highlight on stuff. I need a tutorial on large area skin / muscle definition. In fact, I need a tutorial on absolutely everything. Well, we'll get there, man. You know, Rome wasn't built in a day. You've got to give me time, but we will definitely try and cover as many different things as possible. We'll end up with a tutorial on Blood Angels at some point in February. We're going to do a tutorial on weathering, like specifically chipping and that sort of thing. For some AdMech stuff, we're going to do probably some sort of oil streaking and so on for our robots. Maybe a Hazard Stripes tutorial. Obviously, I am the king of Hazard Stripes, the God Emperor of the hazards. And so it's offensive to me that I don't yet have a tutorial about how to paint the most gangster of all Hazard Stripes. So that has to be done. So yeah, we've got some cool AdMech themed tutorials to put up that you've already been thinking of. Then What else? What else? We might do a tutorial series on a particular mini again. We'll just try and do a longer tutorial, maybe a proper sort of 30-minute or so. Here's how I painted this dude. Murky Merker, how you doing? I'm doing very well, thank you. Cheers for asking. Make a tutorial on checkered patterns. That'll be coming up in March with the Harlequins commission that we'll have. I'm going to do diamonds as part of their motley. They're going to look weathered, so I'm going to do a different kind of weathering tutorial at some point in that commission as well. That'll be a lot of fun. We've got some Custodes Dreadnoughts to do in February. 7 Dreadnoughts. The Patreon whip worked differently in regard to feedback. Yes, I will give essentially a lot more of my time to comment and critique on the Patreon whip section. Expect a lot more of you need to do this, this, and this rather than oh, that's great, mate. Maybe you work on this. So a little bit more detailed. And I will answer any and all questions in the Patreon whip about what to do with your miniature. If I can provide examples, I will do as well. So you're going to get a little bit more quality feedback. So the white, going on quite well. Going on quite well. And the brush is behaving itself a little bit more now as well. So getting rid of that one errant hair did the trick. Still feels too light for me. Still feels too light. So you tempted to invest in some ProAcryl. I love the paints. I'm really, really impressed with the actual paint. Is it going to completely replace my paint range? No. No, it won't. Am I going to pick up the rest of their line? I'm very, very tempted. Very, very tempted. So, Tilt is being a little bit melodramatic about the wait time for ProAcryl. I got the last set that they had, and they are being shipped. Jason has shipped them from, pretty sure, California, over to Stockport, or wherever it is that they're going to get to before they get to Stockport. And obviously, anything arriving internationally right now is taking longer. So you've just got to wait. Yeah, Murky Merker, that's completely correct. It's because a lot of times you have a paint style that one brand of paints really, really caters for. So let's say you do a lot of very thin layers and glazes. Scale 75 might be the absolute best thing. Like, best thing. But if you are someone that likes to paint maybe in a more heavy metal standard, where you are applying a lot of edge highlights and stuff, rather than these very nice volumetric highlights, scale will probably be the worst thing, because they're like painting with custard until you thin them out. They're extremely thick. They're beautifully matte, but they're extremely thick. And I think the ProAcryl is a really good middle ground, because their paints are really matte. Really matte. But you don't have to fuck around as much as you do the scale paints. So these are a solid middle ground. My only... one of the reasons I love P3 so much is because their colours are extremely vivid, powerful, And for my style of painting, let me show you very quickly a bit of the Silent King. So I want all of my artwork to literally jump off the table and people to see it from a mile away. Mostly so when I'm at the other end of a tournament hall chatting to somebody, I can still see my shit on table 1 and know it's still there, you know. I mean, Knights on table 1 is currently not much of a chance, but, you know, maybe the top 3. So here's the purple and so on going on at the top of this guy. Viking! 15 months, bro. How are you on a 3-month streak? What is this shocking behavior? 15 months, mate. Absolute superstar. We will get, by the end of the month, some badges for people. There will be one that's definitely over a year. Just for people like yourself. And we've got the usual forfeit. If we forget, then... oh, it's going to be so bad. But this is the kind of thing that I like P3 for. We used the GW purple. We used a Vallejo extremely bright pink. But the reason that all of this comes to life is actually neither of those two things. It's the P3 Minotaur white highlight that gives you a warmth and a brightness to something without pasteling it out too much. And that's why this works. It's that power from P3. Did you glaze that gemstone on the chest? Not really. I recorded how I did that, and we're going to record how we do the gem on this guy's hitty stick, and probably on the bottom of Zarek's hitty stick, so that at some point in the future, I can go, here's how you paint gemstones. All gemstones. And get a really cool tutorial out for it. But that won't be for now. But that's the reason why I like P3 stuff, because there is absolutely no denying that is extremely eye-catching. And even if you take away the greens from around the outsides of it, so you're missing that contrast between the jade green and that really, really in-your-face purple, which obviously helps it along its way. That's one of the reasons why I paint in my style. Even if you take that away, you're still left with something that's like, damn, that's a good purple. So I hope that the ProAcryl paints can match P3 for that power, that vividness, because that's really, really important to me. Right, now we're going on with just pure white, and this is just going to be some little final highlights. I think we've done an okay job of painting the white. I'd have preferred to be able to use Celestial Grey, I think. Because I think our recess here especially is a little bit too thick, too fat. So you know what, fuck it. Before we finish this off, we're going to go back and correct that. So let's grab some of our warm, bright grey, I think this one was called. And we'll just thin that out. It's too dark. So we'll leave a little bit of a crease just there at the bottom. Help give us a little extra contrast. And this is why you shouldn't worry too much about getting things right in mini painting, because if it's not, you just go back and fix it. You know what, we'll do the same over here. Not overly happy with how we've conducted our white. Phoenix Miniature Art, thank you for the follow, and welcome to the stream. I think when we switched to the smaller brush, I focused too much on the edge highlight sort of section of this. Let's amp this motherfucker up. I tried Instart, I haven't. No, there's about 8 trillion different lines of paint out there, and I haven't tried most of them, if I'm honest. How are you going to be on? I need to get a nap in. Well, you go and have a nap, bro. We've got about 2.5 hours or so before we're looking to pack up the stream. That'll include the whip being done, so You can always catch the VOD though, mate. We always put them up on YouTube, so you don't need to be a subscriber to watch the VODs. They're there for basically a record of what we've done. So if you think, oh, I remember when Jay painted this particular mini, there was a thing he did and I really want to see how he did it. You kind of always got those tutorials right there to hand. You want to catch the whip? Cool. So the whip's probably in 2 hours and 20 odd minutes. Somewhere around that extremely specific, non-specific time frame. Right, let's take a mix of this and white, and we'll kind of wet blend that in a little bit. Not really making an effort of wet blending, but just going on with it while our paint is still uncured. Leaving some of that warm bright grey in there. Like so. And don't get it twisted, guys. Wet blending is a lot more than just paint while the other thing is wet. But not a whole hell of a lot more. So it's all about knowing your working times for the paint, and I have no idea with these ProAcryl ones, which is why we're not making a big fuss out of this. This is going to give me some information I didn't have before on what my working time is like. But that's a much better white for our cloak. Now I want to tidy up the inside of this a little. Like catching back to the glazing I'm doing on my Ancestors, that hard border, the dark glaze into the knee pad. So way to avoid that hard border, you always have to glaze that border over. Right, I think what you mean, because that sentence isn't necessarily clear, is the little indent that goes underneath the knee pad, right? You're never going to retain a super straight line to that if you've been glazing around it. So you have to go back in and put a recess in there to just tighten it back up again. If you don't, it's going to look a bit messy and a bit fuzzy. And yes, I am 100% aware that by going back and redoing that line, you are at risk of fucking up all the glazes that you've just done. But it's necessary. If you want to learn to paint by doing a load of glazes for your layers, that's what you got to do. You mean the shadow of the knee pad on the leg. So think about how much that knee pad protrudes from the leg. It won't leave a lot of a shadow. So you're looking at, let's say, you've got your crenellated knee pad thing. There's your knee. This is why we don't do freehand very often. We do it all the fucking time, but I'm no good at it. I copy shit rather than make a shit. There's your leg, right? The knee pad only protrudes enough to kind of give you maybe this much of a hard shadow, but you're looking at selling an effect, and so you want to kind of do this, glaze all of these out around the sides so that it works from dark to bright that way, but also that it works from dark to bright that way as well. So your darkest point will be here, and it'll get steadily brighter as you come down the leg. And then here, the darkest point will be right up there, but as this goes down in darkness, that'll be the darkest point of this angle. So let's say you're highlighting here, that will be the darkest part of it, and it will go that way. So you're highlighting here, whatever you've got here will be the darkest part, and it will go that way. And it's a lot of work, but you're looking at creating a metallic surface using blue, which is very different to creating a metallic surface using colours that people recognise as gold colours, silver colours, etc. Painting like that Hendarian style we've shown on his Instagram a little bit, is fuck hard. Really, really hard. But it's got to be. Because he does everything with a brush. And he will take maybe a month to paint a marine. I'm not going to do that. I'm absolutely not going to do that. If I took a month to paint a marine, that marine had better be something like Bobby G and being done for display quality. And even then, a month is pushing it. The Silent King and the Void Dragon and Rakir and the Minotaur and a couple of Dark Angel bits and the Invicta Warsuit has been done in about 4 weeks. Oh, and the Emperor Spears dude. There you go. Thanks for the reminder. Yeah, about 4 weeks, I think, for that. Some would say that's a lot of minis to get done in 4 weeks, but it's kind of business as usual. Right, still working up our white on here. I'm much happier about the effect that we've got now. I was okay with the amount of white that we had before and the way the white was working. It's just I wasn't so okay with the way I'd executed it. Hence a little bit of a redo there on the cape. But that showcases that you quite frequently will be doing some work on a project and it won't go the way you want it to. That's fine. Just paint over some of it. There's no issue with doing stuff like that at all. The layers that we use are very thin. It's not like you're getting some Dulux emulsion going on for this. So, alright, start building up just the pure white now. So hitting the highest points on some of these creases, like around here. Go right up to the crotch. We've got this little bit underneath our belt buckle, just in here. Get in there as well, and we've got a bit of white cloth. It's okay. You don't use a paint roller. You don't need to use a paint roller. I find that that's a better technique than dry brushing, though. Good for doing lots of bases all in one go. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Particularly good for your armies on parade entries, you know, so if everyone could do that. Because this year, again, I say this every year, I'm going to try and enter. Whoever painted the knights that won Army on Parade last year, congrats, you did a great job. But I saw your picture and went, oh, mine is so much better than those. Finishing my first mini, a Blood Raven. Mighty proud of it. Nice, dude. Of course it had to be a Blood Raven. Look at your name. Look at your name. You've practically got Blood Raven in there. Nice, man. Put it in the whip for later on. Get him finished, and then we'll show him to the entirety of the internet. Though all 50 of the internet. Okay, so there's our white. We could work on the blue, but I really want to work on all of these areas of these little sort of chaos symbols that we've got. We're going to do all the horns red. Oh, actually, I want to work on the bone. Maybe we'll do the bone. We're not doing non-metallic gold. Certainly we're not doing a posh version of non-metallic gold. We might do a similar sort of very ghetto version of non-metallic gold that we've done a gold non-metallic silver in. But for the gold, we could use light umber as a base. We could use a little bit of purple in there. We've got some yellow we haven't tried out, and I really, really want to try out the yellow. And we'd need some white. So maybe we'll do that. We'll do some non-metallic gold. Now I warn you guys, it's going to look not great. Non-metallic's not really my bag. We've said this a few times now. In terms of brush skill, That part I feel we're okay at. Right. But don't expect this to be the competition-winning non-metallic gold that people spend hundreds of hours painting a mini in. This is going to be some pretty quick. Just, does it look a bit yellowy gold? Yes. Cool. Then we've won. Let's move on. What we're going to do, though, is going to take each section one at a time after we've got our base coat down. So there's going to be a fair bit of repetition with our blends. And the reason we're going to take each section one at a time rather than sort of batch paint the whole thing is because each part is different. It has different highs and lows. Stone is non-metallic. Yes, but it's not us trying to paint metal bell end. Right, if we open this one yet. Yes. Okay. I know we haven't opened these yet. So one of the things that I quite like about ProAcryl paints is they're sealed. It says sealed for your protection. I'm not sure how this is protecting me, but you know, gold is easy if you effectively highlight using brown and bone colors and glaze a bit of yellow over the top. I've never done it that way, but I tend to do my gold non-metallics, for fuck's sake, by taking, it says purple, that feels a lot more like a pink, by taking brown and mixing it into yellow, mixing yellow into brown and bringing that up with white at the very, very top. Everyone's got their own way of doing it. That I think is way too bright. Might need some black out as well, or maybe just some grey will work with it. How did your changeling? Nice. So we're going to prep the palette with all of this. We'll start off with that umber, which is a good mid-tone for it, I guess. We can also use that to base coat our bone sections as well. So we can get all of that done now and work a little bit more efficiently. So let's give this a shot. Light umber, which comes up kind of dark, which is really what we want. Nick with Dade! How you doing, bro? Happy lunchtime. Might be for you. Right, let's grab our synthetic. The actual dry color on the front label, yeah, I know, right? That purple still looks a little bit too light for me. Even on the swatch. That's one thing I really do like about these paints, though, is that the swatch is actually accurate, which never happens. Normally it's best guess based on the color of the paint in the bottle in its wet state. Whereas these are actually pretty spot on. So getting good coverage of the brown. Just going over pretty much that dark warm grey over a rough resin surface, remember, so it's never going to be super smooth like some of that injection molded plastic that you are more used to probably. But it's doing alright, doing a fine job. The hardest thing I've got here is seeing some of the bastard detail, but it's just the joys of Forge World resin. Got a little bit too much paint in that recess as well. I don't want to fill the fucking gap. It's not polyfiller. Cool beans. It does look pink. It does. Even the swatch looks kind of more heading towards magenta than purple, really. But I think they have a magenta. They do. Which is very, very magenta. Let's give you one of these at the front. Yeah, there we go. That's the magenta. We used that on the skin on this guy before blending in our orange and our tan and sort of working that up from there as well. Right, we have Chaos Star style symbol on knee pad. So this must be... We actually painted that silver and I've changed my mind, it needs to be gold. We only did a couple of white highlights, so it's not like we've wasted a shit ton of work or anything. And let's try and work up the body. So we've got a little bit on this leg. We haven't skimped on the detail, which is nice, I guess. But some of it, like this, is in a really shitty position. And unfortunately, due to the casting process for forge rod, which isn't great, there are better ways to cast resin. They're kind of using very old technology, but you know, whatever. Let's get the motivation to do more of my bases. Got everything ready, just starting it. Nice, man. Bases are fun. Bases are fun. Just remember that. Bases, you can kind of relax and just go with it. That's a lot of fun. Let's abandon that brush for a sec. Go on to this one. Some nice tight details in here. See, it's a fucking chisel. Monument Igniter. We will speak to the creator and find out if this is typical. And if so, cool. We gave it a go. It had a shot. Had one opportunity. And currently it has not lived up to expectation. Right, the shoulder pad trim. So we've got a little pointy arrow here at the sides. By the way, we totally wouldn't be doing this at all if there was gold and silver paint in the base set 2 starter set. Just making sure you're all aware of that. This is one of the reasons why we didn't buy the metals and everything else as well, was to push both myself and the paints. Now I know the paints are very capable of non-metallic metal because that's just how Jason paints. But I know he also uses a lot of the transparent paints when he does stuff like this, which we don't have access to right now. So I'm not saying we're doing this on hard mode, but we're not doing it on easy mode. Gonna do the skull with this as well. Gonna do the horns with it too. Not sure whether we're gonna do traditional horns or reverse horns. We'll see what mood we're in when we get to them, I guess. May as well use this as a base coat. Bone should stick to this pretty well. It's doing a great job. It's getting the coverage down. I can't complain about that at all. Over both light and dark, it's doing a fantastic job. One coat, thinned a little with water. That's a fantastic quality of this paint. Gonna do his nose ring. That'll be our first bit of non-metallic metal because it's very small and therefore easier. There we go. So what's everybody else painting today? Who's doing some hobby? Who's just chilling? Who's thinking, you know what, first week back at work after my Christmas break, I'm dead. I've had enough already. Bring on next Christmas. Is anyone at that stage? I've got friends that worked all over Christmas Spoke to one of them yesterday that worked for at least an hour and a half, literally every day over Christmas. That includes Christmas Day, Boxing Day, New Year's Day, all that. Working remotely. Might do some more intercessor work. Just remember, paint the whole thing blue first as well. That was one bit of advice that I gave you today, and I really think that it's just going to help you set your values on everything else. So do make sure you do that. Painting Underworld's Warband, Morgoth's Crushers. Is that the one I've got there? No, I've got Moloch's Mob. Also, check out the Patreon voting channel, those of you that have got access to it. I did put a post in there earlier on where you can vote for this month's giveaway mini. And I'm not to tell anybody else what those are. That's a secret for the Patreon peeps. Jan! How you doing, brother? If we've got a mod, can we get a shout out for Jan? If not, I'll do one myself in a minute. But how are you, dude? How are you? Everyone should follow Jan. He is an absolute beast when it comes to painting. And like me, he's a total degenerate in the coolest way. Pro Jan did a Primaris Chaplain, Gumbling, not long woken up. Bruh. Mr. Ema, I'm on the Guinness. Worked away all Christmas and New Year. Painting some Blackhawks tomorrow. Nice. What blue should I paint it? Midsection, like your mid-tone blue. Was that Liam? Yes, it was Liam. Yeah. Getting stuff prepped and tidied. Nice, dude. Nice. Des, thank you very much. Number one mod. Top mod for a reason. Painting a Judicia for your fists. Awesome. Awesome. He's such a great mini. I'm really hoping they bring out a standalone Judicia rather than just living in the Indomitus box. Because he's so good. So good. Very powerful. Something you want in almost every army, I think. You know what? I'm going to leave those two bits silver. Kind of like those silver. Right, let's do the rest of the bone section. So we've got skull, we've got this bit to do, we've got horns to do. Let's get through those. Had to work yesterday and post office is now closed. And I thought I should comment about working, but Des Gumbellina says, sorry. Also, anything through the post right now is just a nightmare. Because no one else wants a job. That's not true at all. Viking desperately wants to be head mod. Desperately. He'd love it. This is a nice brown. It's not quite Stylian Drab or Graveyard Earth as frequently call it, but it's a good brown. I think we use this pretty well as a base coat for our bone. For the gold, we probably want to use it at a mid-tone and get really dark in our shadows, and then just absolutely through the roof for our highlights. But what do you think, Jan? Worst ever non-metallic silver? I reckon we've got close to the award for that. Looks like someone's doodled it on the back of a greasy packet of crisps. Love this track. There's be careful giving your address out. I got a random town commander sent to me. It took me 3 fucking weeks to work out where it had come from. I didn't buy it. That was a gift. So, oh shit! Also, birthday streams coming up in 10 days' time. That puts it at a Tuesday. We're gonna do a longer stream, so I've got the day off work. We'll start a little earlier. Probably won't go much later, but maybe a little. And we need a mini to paint. We're gonna paint the mini in its entirety, and then give it away. So we need to know what we're going to paint. Give us some suggestions in the chat. Remember, it's going to have to be a small mini. It's like 32, 40mm base size. But what would you like to see me paint? If I can get it in time, maybe we can work on a suggestion from the chat. If not, I've got some cool minis up on the wall behind me. I don't necessarily want to do a Space Marine, but could do. Drazar. Is he available separately yet? Because that's a cool one. Griff Oberwald, the new one. I'd have to buy Blood Bowl again. And that would be the... I think that would only be the 3rd Blood Bowl set that I'd have bought. So... Primaris Tech Marine, that's a cool mini. Mask of Slanesh, which one's that? Is that the Demonette kind of one? That's a cool mini. But I don't necessarily want to attract more Slanesh Demon players to stream. The chat gets weird enough as it is sometimes. Makari, that'd be cool. What do I want to do? Hey, I want to paint a cool mini and give it away. That is the entirety of my thoughts for my birthday stream. Other than that, I don't mind. A solitaire. Ooh, the solitaires are cool. Could we do a solitaire in about 8 hours? That's a challenge. That's a good challenge, though. I've got... It's not the solitaire, it's the Magic Man. What's the Harlequin Magic Man called? Shadow Weaver? It's hidden behind some blister packs somewhere up there. Any Thousand Suns, not in 8 hours. Just definitely not in 8 hours, bro. Shadow Seer, that's it, not Shadow Weaver. That's the bike thing. Ray, you're a January charge too. Good lad. Good lad. If only GW do some new 40k Slaneshi stuff, I might actually paint some GW again. I quite like the Greater Demons. In fact, I think they're one of the best models that GW have done. The Greater Demon of Slanesh and Shalaxi Hellbane, they are gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Not a Helldrake in non-metallic metal. Your band. Head mod to band in one sentence. Drazar definitely available separate. Tilts. You're overthinking it. You're going to have a mid-tone. Somewhere between the darkest dark and the brightest bright, there's a middle point. Paint with that. They average very nicely. The demons, definitely. Definitely. Okay. Tell you what. Let's have a quick squeeze on Element. Should we do some shopping? 40k. Quins. Let's do this. They have a solitaire. They do have a solitaire. He's a cool mini. Let's put him down as a possibility. I don't like the Death Jester. I think that looks terrible. In fact, he looks really, really bad. Let's do Primaris Tech Marine. That was an option. So just Spas Marines. Yeah. Is he an HQ choice or an Elite now? HQ stuffs and things. Primaris Tech Marine. Not in stock till after giveaway. Not giveaway, birthday day. So not that one. What other things and stuff? Someone said Death Watch, but meh. Khan. He's plastic now. Can we do Khan just so I can do the Star Wars quote? I'm like, Khan! Tilts, falls off chair. Khan the Betrayer. He's an option. He's an option. Give us some more options, guys. Have a think throughout while I do a little bit of non-metallic metal. We'll start off with our shadows on the first bit, and then we'll work up. So the first thing we're going to do is obviously prep the pack. Khan in old colours. Oh, I haven't done Iron Man, but he's there. We're also never going to get that painted in about 8 hours. That's impossible. Orruk Weird Knob Shaman. You're just making things up now. Is that the one with like the cloak on his shoulders? Because I painted him, and he looks like he's wearing a yellow rain mac, and so he's called Captain Birdseye. It's brilliant. Oh, Blood Bowl Tree Man, that looks cool, but that looks like a boring thing to paint. God Almighty, you get Age of Sigmar. It's nothing but Blood Bowl. Where is Orcs in the Forces of thing? Is that Destruction? That sounds possibly right. Ogres, Auruks. They've got the War Chanter. That one's not dispatched until 20th of January, so not that guy. The Weird Knob Shaman. He'd be cool. He'd be cool. We'll put that down as a possibility as well. Varak Gulchewer, he's only in the new Blood Bowl kit. I don't want to buy the new Blood Bowl set. Mostly because I've got 2 Blood Bowl sets already, and I don't necessarily want a third one when no one around me plays Blood Bowl. Ben, you've got a Halfling team? Goblin team, that was it. You say best team. Apparently with little teams now, you can have more than 11 players on the field. Captain Flaps. God, what an absolute boy he was. Right, I'm just prepping the palette with some purple. We want some yellow on there, want some white on there. Let's see what this yellow's like. Is it going to be as good as Flash Gets Yellow, which is the best yellow? Maybe. Doesn't quite look as bright. Gotrek. To be fair, that's a great mini. That is a really... Where do I find Gotrek? Forces of Order. Sounds dwarfy. Cities of Sigmar. Gotrek, yeah. Is that an 8-hour paint job? that's a challenge for an 8-hour paint job. I mean, and I did just listen to Realm Slayer, narrated by the fucking epic Brian Blessed, and that was good. That was good. So I've since then I kind of thought, oh, I could do a Gotrek. That could be a giveaway, you know. Fabulous Bill. Fabulous Bill's nice. I don't love his new mini. I think I'm one of the only people that doesn't love his new mini. Chaos. He must be an HQ. Fabulous Bill. Yeah. I suppose his mini's quite cool with the spider arms and everything. His little Gimboid character that goes with him is, I think, actually better. But, you know, I think you do a Mars Pattern Titan in 8 hours. I can definitely get it painted as much as some studios paint theirs. Let's get some dark umber out. That's mahogany. Was dark umber what we had here? No, it was light umber. That must be dark umber. Did we open this one? Yes. Cool. So we've got a set of colours we can use for some shadows and some real shadows and so on. I don't even know what low tan is. Fabulous Bill's face looks at painting gets from Guspers too. Yes, he is definitely Vigo. Right, let's grab some thinned dark umber. And I said we'd start on the nose ring. So this is going into the recesses right up here. Then we're going to take a little bit of that and some of their purple. God, that looks horrible. I don't like this purple. Something Seraphon. Idemeth. Oh, I'm definitely not painting anything Idemeth. I really don't like that model range. Apart from the Leviathan. That looks epic. The rest of it's just a bit. Seraphon stuff. I don't even know what Seraphon stuff there is. I remember the big stuff being really cool. I'm guessing that's Forces of Order as well. How are Dark Elves Forces of Order? The fuck? Seraphon. This little skink dude. Actually, he's super cool. He is super, super cool. We like him. We'll put him down. He's also the only small mini that isn't made out of resin that I can see. So, good shout on that. The Light of Altharion. Now you're making up words. That's a Lumineth thing, right? The Light of Altharion. No, I don't love that. Also, to paint that in those colours, that's either way, way, way less than an 8-hour paint job. Or way, way, way more. So, there's no middle ground on that. Let me grab some black and mix the black with purple and see how that plays. Because mixing purple with brown did not work as a dark purple. It just came up as the shittest mauve. Not my bag. This purple is definitely not purple. Black and purple gives me something closer to what I want though, so that's good. That's good. What about the cat halla? What even is a cat halla? Oh, that guy. Oh, that. No, I hate that model. Right, here's the thing about this model. And someone's going to get super, super shitty with me about this. Because every time I mention this, someone gets really, really defensive about it, and I don't know why. Makim, hello, how you doing? Whoever painted it did a spectacular job painting the veil on the face. Really, really well done. That's a lot of work with some glazes. You fucking smashed it. And they clearly spent all their time doing that because you can see literal fucking brush strokes on the blue cape, which is 90% of the fucking mini. Special effects are great. They really are. But can you please just get the fundamental steps bit down? That's the important part. Right, let's make some brown and yellow and see what we get. Let's get in towards a goldy brown colour. Golden brown. Raise Them Daniels. Thank you for the follow. Welcome. Infernal Enrapturess. That's the Slaneshi Demon thing, right? Nah. Doing well, dude. How about yourself? We're doing some extremely quick, so not to be confused with good non-metallic metals. We're doing it a bit at a time. Now let's take some more yellow. It's a tiny bit of brown. So we've got kind of a English mustard. I just realized don't follow any mini painters that had to change. Damn. The Harp Demon. Oh yeah, I know the one you mean. Yeah, no. Necromunda Ogrin Servitor, no, because Forge World. And frankly, no. Wolf Wraith, holy shit, there's a name I haven't seen in a while. How are you doing, brother? Everybody, this guy, very cool Twitch streamer. Definitely worthy of a follow. Right, now let's just use some yellow. So it's just yellow on its own yellow. We're going to start weighting our highlight to one side. And then we'll take some yellow, mixed in with some white. For a very bright yellow. Things have been done well. Necromunda Servitor offerings of plastic. Oh, okay. Maybe. Do they come on their own, or is it a full box set deal? Right, there you go. Some real fast, real unimpressive non-metallic gold to go alongside our real fast, real unimpressive non-metallic silver. But that's how we're going to do all of the gold on this guy. It's going to get better as we go, obviously. So let's work from the bottom up. We've got our Chaos Star. We're just going to get some shadows on that. There's no real room for putting the purple on this, so we won't bother. 2 in a box, 500 again. Skull Taker. I like him, but no. The Ambot is Necromunda. And that is Forge World, right? So that would be a no. So we've got a little bit of spike. We've got this top section to do. So this is the yellow mixed into brown rather than the brown mixed into yellow, and the way I'm differentiating those is whatever the mixed into colour is the predominant colour. So I'll show you my palette in a sec and how we've just sort of made up our paints. So that was the tone we used, that's our mid-tone. We've got our darkest colour, which is the darker umber. We've got a little bit of purple and black here, and then we've got yellow mixed into this, which is here. Then we've got this mixed into yellow, which is here, regular yellow, and then yellow mixed into white down there. Fish finger sandwiches, oh yes. Stink Starseer is a great mini. Is that the little skink priest from Sigmar? Because that is a great mini. I like that. We've added that one to the cart. For anyone that's just joined us, essentially we're shopping for a mini on Element for me to paint on my birthday, which is only in about a week and a half. We're going to paint it and we're going to give it away. We need a mini that we can paint in about 8 hours. So it's got to be a small base mini. We're never going to get something like Abaddon done to a standard I'd be happy with, for instance, in that length of time. So, call out some names of things that you'd like to see me paint. Doesn't need to be 40k. Obviously, I'm kind of better with 40k. The one sitting on the seat. That is cool. That's possibly an 8-hour paint as well, but we've already got one skink in the running. What we'll do is we'll come up with some names, and then I'll put the contents of the cart. I'll just list them in Discord, so exclamation point Discord for a link to there, and we'll have a vote. We'll let the community decide on what it is that I should paint and give away. Because after all, it's going to one of you guys. It's for me to enjoy and have fun with whilst we have a little bit of a birthday tipple. And chill out on the stream. Shrike I could probably paint in 25 minutes. Here's some black. Bam. There's some highlights. Bam. I'll do the white bits later. The skink is fine cast. Ugh, no fine cast. Cal Jericho. Yeah, I've seen Cal Jericho. You've said it 3 times now. I've read it every time. If he's available on Element, then maybe. I can't remember what the mini looks like. I remember the old mini, like the real old metal mini. I think. Because he was a Necromunda model from before, right? Vampire Lord, dual swords, something a bit different, and you think you'd have fun with it. Is that one fine cast? Because I'm thinking that's the old. It's one of the Carsteins, not Manfred. Oh, it might have been Manfred. Might be Manfred on foot. And if fine cast, Comrade. Thank you. Yes. No, because that's fine cast. It's a great mini though. I had the metal version of that when I had my vampire counts way back in the day. There's some more pretty crap non-metallic gold. Cal Jericho and Scabs. Rather than giving me GW links, give me Element Games links if you can. That would be easier for me. But he looks cool. Let's have a look at the 40k store. Necromunda. Books, gangs, cards, dice, bases, and oh shit, he's not on there. So that might be direct only. Yeah, he's not on. Not an Element. Oh, the Ambot is. Cool. Ambots are cool as fuck, actually. That can go in the cart. Yeah. Yeah. So we're working up a list. We're getting there. As we're doing our terrible goal. This brush is working a lot better now. You kind of have to break brushes in a little bit. And it's doing okay. Khan is in the bag. He's in. Hey, you found him? I couldn't see him. But yeah, he looks cool. You could use him as a guard sergeant or something as well if you wanted to. So yeah, we'll put that in the cart. And like I said, we'll get a list of these. We'll put them in the Discord. Get you guys to vote on it. The mini's for you guys, not for me. Sorry, just having to concentrate on this bit. So The Minotaur is badass. Thank you very much, Mr. Shades Live. Harkon World Claimer. I really dislike that mini. I don't know. I just really don't like it. The Gaunt Summoner. Wasn't that a limited edition one? Oh no. No, I was thinking of one of the Nighthawk ones. It is, but that's definitely not an 8-hour paint. Like, definitely not. That's why we're not including Araman that I have just up here. Oh, dude, thanks for the follow. Judge Judy. No, isn't she Finecast? No. Oh, that. No. That, again, not an 8-hour paint. Come on. It's got to be something we can paint in a mid-length stream. Do you add Drazar to the basket? No, I haven't yet. Give us an element link. Gorebag and Nickit is up there, and we probably won't be painting him for my birthday. Probably won't be. And those of you in the Patreon community might know why. That might be taken for something else. If you're in that Patreon channel on Discord, you might have some insider info that not everyone else has. Quite perverse. I'm actually enjoying doing these tiny fucking highlights. Don't know why, but sure. How about something dead? I really don't like those for the most part. But again, give me element links. That's actually a fucking cool mini. Find me that on Element, send me the link, and then we'll add that one to the list. Yeah, that's a banging mini. Crooked Grin, superstar. Boom, Drazar in the bag. I've got an Abominant actually just behind me, and he may be included in one of our giveaways very soon. Who knows? You can paint that exclusive Terminator off your shelf and keep it. I could, but I'm not going to, because he will be in my eventual one-day Marine Army. One day. When we do Marines that are like two-tone. I've been thinking a lot about the colour scheme that I do for him. It's probably going to be blue and bone. I've also been thinking about how I'd end up painting a Marine Army for myself. And how I'd fit that into the scheduling. And with great difficulty is the answer to that. So that's very probably not on the cards this year, which is the inaugural year of me being self-employed. Severina Rain, she is Finecast. I knew there was one of them that was the newest one out. That one is Finecast. Cool. Junk Pro Mystic, thank you very much. Thank you very much, rather. Yeah, that's a really cool mini. There's lots of fun shit we could do on that one. So, also without using those god-awful technical hex paints as well, like they've done. A Startease-a-thon incoming, possibly. Inquisitor Crom, thanks for that follow. And you say one day, you mean one day sometime in the future rather than whole army painting in a day? Yeah, I do, because this would be an army that I'd be taking to events, and whenever I go to an event, I intend to at least get a nomination for best painting, because this is my time to advertise my business. So it needs to at least be capable of that. And the Necrons look great en masse, they do. but I'd be extremely surprised if they got a Best Painted nomination without some significantly good characters. Like if I put my Void Dragon with him as a massive centerpiece, it's just a shame he's a bit rubbish. Otherwise, he'd be a shoe-in in the army just because he looks cool and I love the mini. Why don't you get a Hexmark Destroyer from Element? Because I've had one on order since fucking the 21st of fucking October. And unfortunately, Games Workshop can't get them to Element. Thanks for that, Des. You know, much love, brother. This is that yellow mixed into light umber that we're using for now. Just trying to preserve a load of the shadows that we've put down. Create a little bit of dynamic contrast. I think we'll end up having to come back in and just drop the shadows back, but we're going to need to anyway around the rivets where we're kind of painting over those now. We'll just come in with the shadows and just give them a little bit more separation. So now this is the umber mixed into yellow. So it's a workup that's the way I paint non-metallic gold is by just basically going brown to yellow to white, with some purple in the shadows because I love the way purple and yellow interact. And it works. It's not great. I'm not going to win any painting contests for my non-metallic metals, but this is a fun little thing that I never do on stream, so why not? We've currently got 10 things in our Element shopping cart. We've got Solitaire, Kind Betrayer, the Auric Weird Knob Shaman, Gotrek Gurnison, Fabulous Bill, Skink Star Priest, which someone said might have been Finecast, so let's just double check. No, that was plastic. It must have been the other one, the one on the chair that was Finecast. We've got the Ambots, Cal Jericho and Scabs, Drazar, and the Mortan Soul Reaper. The other requirement is, of course, that they are in stock on Element. So, Peg Leg Bill. Yeah, man, we start at 11 a.m. on a Saturday. It's because on Saturdays, it's a day I spend with my girlfriend. But she normally has a load of stuff she wants to get done in the mornings, like friends she wants to see and things like that. And so I have the morning to stream. And then I go and see her in the afternoon. And obviously we spend the evening together. But Saturday streams are nice. They're a good day to meet new people that aren't able to get into our regular streams throughout the week, which are all evening streams. Though there is only one Saturday this year that a giveaway day falls on, which is surprising. Gotrek made the list. Yeah, he did, man. He's a great mini. Is he an 8-hour mini is fucking debatable. But he's definitely a cool mini. And it's a cool character. I read all of the William King, Gotrek, and Felix books. When I was in the hobby many years ago. And I really liked them. A good set of characters. I had the set of them: Gotrek, Snorri, Felix. I don't think it's right, but I'll say Ulrika and Max. I had the set of those. They were good minis. They were cool. What was her fucking name? It wasn't Ulrika. That's going to annoy me. Can anyone remember the last? She was a vampire. Apologies if that was a spoiler for anyone. From the Gotrek and Felix books. They were great books. And then when they got taken over by somebody, I read a couple of them. I think the last one I read was Zombie Slayer, and I couldn't believe that we'd gone from Troll Slayer, Dragon Slayer, Demon Slayer, Zombie Slayer? I mean, really? That's where you're going? But that was still a good book. Still a good book. I listened to Realm Slayer only a couple of days ago, and that's really, really good. Very short, so I'm glad I got that on a Audible sale. I'd have felt really aggrieved at paying 30 odd quid for 4 hours worth of audiobook. But I know there are people out there that audiobooks are one of their big things. That's what they love. So, you know, you started up at 7:30 a.m. my time. It's not pretty. Oh, damn, son. Wait, how could it have been 7:30 when we went live at 11? How about doing a Titanicus model? No. Actually, just no. Because the details on those things are immensely small, and the entire mini is like painting eyes. That's why I will no longer take on commissions for the Aeronautica game. That's a solid no from me. I've turned down 4 commissions now of those fucking planes. I even had one guy ask if I could just paint the bases in that case. If I wouldn't paint the planes, will I just paint the bases? So I gave him a quote for some bases. Admech Fat Priest. I don't like it, only because, and here's why. He's blatantly picking his nose. He's like one finger up to the knuckle in there for definite. That's also definitely not an 8-hour model. Not to do justice to all of the elements of it. Here's a very cool model though. I do like it, but it's not an 8-hour mini. It's your birthday. Have the Beer Dwarf. What, the new one? Fuck no. Got to pick a winner. Absolutely. Call is absolutely not an 8-hour mini. And we have a call that we're painting in January anyway. We're going to start work on the Admech stuff next week with some assembly. Right, just going to grab some of our black paint because we went ever so slightly outside the lines here with our yellow, and we're just going to tidy that up like so. So that's 1. So we've got an hour and 15-20 minutes or so before we go into the whip gallery. Should be able to get all the rest of this done. And I'd like to hope we get the bone done as well, but I'm not sure because we've got quite a lot of gold areas still to paint. What is a quid? A quid is slang for a pound. So 1 English pound. In under these rivets. I'll get some separation around those. Goliath Gang Leader. You know what? I have got one of those. And I put them together with the big hammer on his shoulder. Obviously had the stogie, had the mohawk, and I was going to use them. I think he had a shotgun. There was a list that I thought about running that was Imperial Guard. It was my knights with an Imperial Guard Supreme Command attachment. I think it was a battalion. And it had 3 company commanders in it. Because the company commanders would just sit on objectives with some knights right in your face and like, go on, you can go all the way past my knights to shoot at the closest enemy model over there being that guy who's hidden in a building, smoking a stogie, while my Knights table you. And obviously decided against doing that because I wanted to play pure Knights. Darker Design, cheers bro, how are you doing? Live in a weird time zone that's off by half hour. No way. I didn't realise there were any. Do you mind if I ask where you live? That's awesome. Trollstate is great. Trollstate is a bit like a collection of short stories. And it's by far one of the weakest books in that series, but it's still really good. So I can strongly support Trollslayer. That's a solid book. Skaven Deathmaster. They are cool. They're very dated though, right? Are they still what I assume now is a Finecast mini? Or are they plastic? Oh. Let's get shadows in. This, going to want to do shadows on like the middle of these areas. How's ProAcryl so far? So ProAcryl paints are really good. They're really, really good. I've yet to find anything that replaces stuff like Minotaur White Highlight that I use a couple of pots a year from P3. But you know, there's certain paints I still use from other lines. But if you were just going to buy a set of paints and you were just starting off in the hobby, then I'd recommend the base set. I'd also recommend getting a few metallic paints though, say if you're doing fucking non-metallic gold and so on. And I nearly bought the metallic set just to avoid this, but that's not really me giving the paints a fair road test. You know, we're just not using them as much as we could, trying to be sure that we've pushed myself and my experience of these paints to the limit. So, hence doing this. But the gold's looking okay. Non-metallic gold is much easier for me than non-metallic silver. Especially on these larger areas as well. It's... Wow. Newfoundland, Canada, we only want to ward off by half an hour. Wow. That's amazing, dude. Like I said, I genuinely didn't know that was a thing, but that's epic. That's my new thing I've learned today. Thanks for sharing. As far as I know, they are unfortunately. Okay. Evil Lemon Painting. How you doing? Good afternoon. Right, so that's our shadow. We've got our darker shadow, which is some purple. Let's get that in. That'll probably end up being painted on a second time as well. Some of this. But just help to reinforce some of those shadows a little bit and provide a little bit of contrast too. This is some of the ProAcryl purple mixed with black, because they're purple. To me, that's not purple. To me, that's closing in on magenta. I mean, well, magenta's a bit of a stretch, but it's definitely a pink, not a purple to me. Right, need people say motivation things to get me hobbying again. Will have had a horrible tough patch with the will to do anything. Mean things are acceptable as well. Okay, here's something mean for you, mate. You've got your lesson on Monday, and if you're not fucking prepared, I'm going to be extremely unhappy with you. Get some paint on. Here you go, here's another one. So Craig is a power lifter and a trainer for powerlifters, so you know, if you don't do some hobby this weekend, the next time you do a workout session, you have to do just cardio. There you go. That'll fucking motivate you. I think for starters, cardio. Cardio for a power lifter. I've got to run. That might break his kneecaps anyway, Gumballina, you know. If you don't do it, we'll feed you to the pigs. The average pig can consume. And I don't know the rest of the line, unfortunately. Hence the expression, as greedy as a pig. I mean, what's a stream without a snatch quote? I'm hoping we can get a better one than that in there. That's all I'm doing at the minute with lockdown. Okay, wow. Wow. We're using whitening for Zenithal. Do you thin it or is it already thin enough? I thin the fuck out of it, dude. That goes in 50-50 with Flow Improver, and even then I'm frequently adding a little drop of water to it as well. If I'm using white ink for doing white, we go even further with it, and it gets thinned with sort of 1 to 2 to 1 ink Flow Improver water, and it really helps to avoid that speckling that you'll get with it. Unfortunately, because you're usually using it on a surface that is very dark to build up that highlight, you're going to get that speckling, and it's just a fact of painting with it. That's just the way it is. Not a lot you can do to change that. But once you know that and you accept it, you can work around it pretty well. So Bloody Rain, that's no problem. If you want, you can put it in the whip anyway, and we can do the critique and stuff on it, and then you can just catch up with the stream on YouTube. So every stream is uploaded to YouTube. I went through a phase of not doing it because I was trying to write detailed notes about what was in the stream for the YouTube thing, and it was killing me. Finish a stream and then clean your airbrush and then feed the cat and then write up some show notes, and then by the time I was going to bed it was 1 a.m. and I was then finding it difficult to sleep because my brain was then active again, and just having nightmares with it. Not legit nightmares, but just, you know what I mean. So we stopped doing all of that, and instead I just have a blurb that's, if you enjoyed the show, here's a rebroadcast of it, blah blah blah, done. Get rid of the cat, get rid of you. Get rid of you. But you can go and look on YouTube for your feedback and so on. So I've put Zenithals in taking a black and white pit to give me a blueprint for highlights. Yeah, it works, dude. It works. It's a good sort of solution. Get it under a lot of light and then up your contrast settings so you've got that absolute set of dark and light highlights. So we should be able to get the gold finished on this guy today. I'm just thinking how we're getting on. We've got over an hour before we start looking at going into the whips. The gold will be done. Hoping the bone will be done, and that'll leave us for tomorrow night to get the freehand. We've got a number to put on his back. I'm thinking probably a 13 to go in here. 1, 3. We've got a blue star to paint on there because he's a member of the Dumbass Cowboys. That could be an 8-pointed Chaos Star. Could it? In blue? I wonder. We'll have a think, see if we can come up with a way of doing that. But can't not be for the Dumbass Cowboys. That's too good of an NFL Minotaur joke to let get past. Meep is love, Meep is life. She's my baby. She is a very special cat. And by that, I mean she's completely dumb as a post. Can't say the word I was going to use, but I mean it in a term of endearment for my complete fuckwit of a cat. Completely useless. She is completely useless. I think she's scared of her own poo. So this sounds weird, but stay with me. Every time she uses the litter tray, she goes off on. She's like, meow, meow. And she runs around the house making dog noises. Like, rah, 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 as she runs. Like, why do you do that as a cat? Do you not understand this behaviour? Got rid of my woman's cat for an instant with a large pot of Nolan oil. What? Yes, she's really late, Des. There you go. Yeah. Yeah, never on time. Good work there, mate. That's some solid. She has a favourite flavour of window, put it that way. Danny, I think you're absolutely right. This is why dropper bowls. Army painter washes. Absolutely the best. Well, if the cat jumped up on the table, that's you guys' fault for not teaching your cat not to jump up on the table. Tom Wilson 88, thank you for the follow. I love cats, so you know, I like cats a lot more than I like human beings. I will always side with the animal, and in my opinion, see, it's just my opinion, but I feel that my Twitch channel is the place to spout my opinions. Most issues that people have with animals are down to the people not training the animal well enough to be a domestic animal. Right, so we've done our base coat and our shadow and our first highlight for the trim on the shoulder pads. Meep has no opposable thumbs, can't hold a brush, 0 out of 10. Hey, that's totally fine. But while she may not be particularly productive in the studio, and in fact definitely does not aid productivity in the studio, because the distraction of playing with a cat, I feel that the mental support that I have to be able to relax and play with a cat far outweighs that. And I mean, without Meeps, what would we use for currency? You know, have hazard stripes, you know, like that'd be all. No, Meeps are better. Gold's turning out okay. I actually really like the gold. It's helping the silver not look so shit as well. So, cat hair brushes. Wonder if it's been attempted. I mean, I'm not gonna dip her tail in a pot of paint. That's a no. She has got a very bushy tail, though. I mean, if the apocalypse ever hits in, you might see how close to Kalinsky Sable the cat hair is. So this is the yellow with... this is the umber with yellow that we're using now. And the yellow, the ProAcryl yellow is good. I still don't think it's going to replace flash kits. But we haven't tried it on the airbrush. We haven't tried it using it for hazards and things like that obviously we're relatively well known for. So... what colours you use for your non-metallic gold workup? Well, we've never done this before. This is a start. So we went with a base coat of light umber. We've then used a shadow of dark umber. A further shadow. It was a mix of coal black and purple. And then we just mix yellow into that for the first highlight. And then that into yellow for the second highlight. And then yellow into white for the final highlight. That's it. And the entirety of this mini has been painted with ProAcryl paints as a way of testing the ProAcryl paint line and brushes to see how I feel about them. I've seen people saying that their yellow is the best of the range. Really? Okay. I mean, I was relatively impressed with their white, to be honest. It was good. It's not white ink. But as far as an acrylic paint goes, I thought it was pretty bang. That's it. I mean, yeah, that's it. It's 6 paints to paint non-metallic gold with. I've seen people use a fuckload more than that. And the only reason that's 6 paints and not 5 paints is because their purple's really bright pink. If that was more, if I was using like GW colours, for instance, that would be Nagaroth Night, which is a nice dark purple. But in the set that I have, they don't have a nice dark purple. They might do in one of their expansion sets, but we didn't buy any of the expansion sets. We wanted to really push ourselves with the base set and work with that. Give it a shot. It's a road test. It's a complete go at this paint line to see if it's any good before I join Jason's Monumentals program and promote them. Because if they're not good, I'm not going to tell people to buy them. And having had no experience with the paint line, I needed to give them a shot before advising people that they were good or bad or whatever. Because if they're terrible, I'm gonna fucking tell people they're terrible. Based on the reception that the mini painting community as a whole has for these paints, that was almost certainly not going to be the case. But for instance, this brush took some fixing, and I'm still not really impressed with this. It is about 2/3 the price of my Winsor & Newton Series 7s. I also feel it is about 2/3 of the quality. And because I have the income to use on the brushes, mostly because the brushes, like the painting is my business. That's what we keep the lights on and me fed with, is painting toy soldiers. I'd rather spend the extra on a very quality tool. But also, those Winsor & Newton Series 7s last me, and I paint a lot more than the average painter, We average out about 80 hours a week with a brush or airbrush in my hand. Those brushes last me between 4 and 6 months a brush. And I use that brush for everything from metallics to base coats to washes to highlights to painting eyeballs and doing freehand with and all that sort of shit. They get used. I don't think I'd get the same longevity out of this brush just based on the way it's handling things at the very start. So yeah, 4 months. Yeah, that's solid. Do you paint quite a lot? Like I said, I paint way more than the average painter. And they get used for everything apart from oils, basically. So they get put through their paces. They get really, really smashed through. And they still last me ages. The only reason I've replaced... So I put little dots on my brushes once they're done with. I haven't done it yet on the last one I used. So this was the one that we've just finished and put out to pasture. On this side, this is the brand new one. And you can see the difference between the brush tips. This is why we replaced the brush. It's still got a perfect tip, but it's losing some of the tip. It's not... You know, put them right next to each other, you can see that difference. So I've literally worn away some of those bristles, which means I can't get a perfect point for doing things like eyes, for getting that real sharp line on some freehand or on a recessed shade or similar, because the point doesn't exist anymore. Got any opinions for a small/medium dry brush that I'll do my head in? Last year, I used a dry brush technique literally 4 times. I did it on a base for this guy, because I knew you wouldn't be able to see any of the base, because it was going to be covered in this stuff. I used a dry brush on one of my knights to get a particular like effect. I like having like a brushed steel look to them on the hip joints, and by using a dry brush and working in one direction, you get a little bit of that effect. So I used a dry brush there. I used a dry brush on the glow-in-the-dark base we made for Rival Crafts. We did on stream. And I think on one other thing, I think I used it on one other base. I do not dry brush. I think as a technique, it's fine if all you care about is speed and you just want to get something done. The fuck was that noise? Was that an email coming through or something? That's weird. Literally never heard that before. Yeah, if all you care about is speed, then sure, dry brush away. If you actually care about getting the right lights, shadows, highlights, and everything in the right places, dry brush is not the way. I don't dry brush bases. Here's the Void Dragon. Let me show you his base. None of this is dry brushed. This is a little bit of airbrush work, and then it is weathering powders. And that looks much more realistic and much more like a base than the traditional, well, I glued some sand to it, inked it, and dry brushed it bone, and now I'm done. I hate that look. I really, really don't like that look to things, so I don't dry brush. If anyone that does, that's cool. That's your style, and I know there are painters that paint solely by dry brushing. And again, that's cool. Your style is your own, and you go. But it's not for me. I wouldn't recommend the Siege dry brush set, or if I'm brutally honest, any of their brushes. I'm not a fan at all. I've used them. I was one of the first people on their Kickstarter for them because I know James. I know a couple of the guys that are artists for him, and I feel we definitely give it a go. And they were not as good as advertised, essentially. They split real fast, and I know how to take care of a brush. So I can't support those. However, just buy some makeup brushes, because that's what the dry brushes are based on, that Siege have made. And you can find makeup brushes way cheaper. You can buy a set of them for what you'd pay for one brush. Will they be as hard wearing? Probably not. Probably not. But they'll do an adequate job. And for me, if you're dry brushing, then you have your priority very firmly fixed in one direction, which is, I want this shit done now. I just want it finished off. Which means that the small difference in quality that you might get is probably not something you care too much about. I don't know if anyone's ever heard the phrase, you can have it good, fast, or cheap, but you can only pick 2 of the 3. For me, dry brushing fits into that category. Dry brushing is you can have it fast and you can have it cheap, but you can't have it good way. And if you want dry brushing to look good, and I don't mean good for dry brushing, but I mean good in general, then it ain't fast. It takes a lot of time with lots and lots of layers and lots of shifts and some washes and then some more dry brushing and so on. I still think I can get way better results with an airbrush than someone will ever get with a dry brush, unless you specifically want to have texture. I appreciate you said you don't airbrush at the moment. Is there a reason for that? Is it just something you haven't done yet, or maybe you don't have a space you can leave it set up, or maybe you've got a young child or something, and having the noise of a compressor going is going to ruin your life. Cost, an army is currently mostly painted. Fair. You can get an airbrush set up for £100, call it 120 by the time you bought some cleaning kit. So in the grand scheme of things, in comparison to what we spend on toy soldiers, it's not that much. My airbrush setup is a lot more expensive because I use it as a professional tool. Your kids, 4 and 1. That would be the biggest barrier to entry for me, I think, for the airbrushing. Because you will wake them up all the time if you try and paint in the evenings, I'm sure. It's a messy aspect of my hobby. I deep clean my desk every week just to get the residue of that off. When I'm not on stream, I wear a full respirator, not a dust mask, a proper, actually fit to face. Sure, we've got a little bit less here. Essentially, that fits around my chin. It doesn't fit under my chin, so it sits on my face and still gives me a relatively good seal. Cuts down a lot on the amount of paint you end up breathing in. So yeah, airbrushing is phenomenal. I would find it very difficult to paint the style that I paint in without an airbrush, because it helps give me those super smooth gradients, those really, really nice transitions, and it helps me get those really, really poppy colour schemes as well. got to use them for IPA fumes. Yeah, man, that's rank. Just bought the Silent King. The Silent King's a brilliant model, and I've nearly got this one finished. This is a commission that I've been working on for the last couple of weeks, alongside the Void Dragon that you've just seen. It's a fucking great mini. I say mini. It's not really a mini. Silent King is pretty damn cool. Does airbrush spray ever affect the PC I use? The PC is underneath my desk at one side, the compressor is that side, and I spray here. Now I'm aware that the airbrush will spray and things will go over the desk and then kind of come down the sides of it, and then the fan can bring that in, which means I clean my PC, all of the fans on the back, once a month, mostly because we have a cat that sheds like fuck constantly, and so I'm pulling cat hair and stuff out of that. But I've noticed no issues with the PC. The PC is an absolute beast. We don't drop a frame almost any stream. It was built for streaming by myself, after doing a lot of research on things that I knew I'd need, and because I didn't want to overclock anything, we got a pretty solid AMD processor, one of the Ryzen 7s, and the fan for it, the heatsink cooling system fan, is a Be Quiet fan that when I got the box for it, I thought, fucking hell, it's a massive box for a little fan. It's not a little fan. The fan is like this, and it's cubic like that. It literally is about a millimeter or two away from the glass side of the case. It just fits in, but that fan does an epic job of cooling the PC. Never even comes close to running hot. Do you just use compressed air on yours? Oh, on cleaning the machine. If I'm honest, mate, I use the Hoover. Not the best thing to use. But obviously, just carefully. But certainly, the biggest thing to clean is the fan intakes and so on. Squeeze Ale! 6 months, bro. 6 months. What a boss. Thank you very much, my friend. Love the support. We're nearly done on our non-metallic metal. We've got one more highlight to do on those shoulder pads. Whoops, one more. And this little arrow down here. Just got to finish this one off, but we're not that far away. Like I said, I think it's helped definitely on our silver, because now our darkest parts of our silver look a lot darker by comparison. And it's starting to look a little bit more like a metallic. It's still not good. It's so far from good. I have almost no practice painting NMM silver, and I'm a painter that prefers true metallics to non-metallics, but there's no metallic paint in these boxes. You airbrushed at the start of this video? Yes, we did. We airbrushed all of the hide, then we airbrushed all of the skin. That went through this magenta. Went through the magenta and then orange, and then we worked up some skin tones with it. Then we brushed on everything else, so that all the armor, but we did airbrush some of the gradients here on our non-metallic metal style. Just because, again, this is not something that I do a lot of. In fact, this is probably the second time in what's approaching 2 years of streaming that we have ever done non-metallic metal on stream. I don't really offer it as part of my commission portfolio, because there are people out there whose style is very much NMM. Mine is not, and they'd be better off going to an artist that specializes in this. The higher part, small glaze of blue, helps create the right levels of colour. Yeah, the reason I'm not doing that is we've got blue here. I'm going to do blue freehand on those. So originally, when I got out all the colours for the non-metallic grey, so not steel, but because that would have a blue. Goose Beast, thanks for the follow. The reason we didn't use the blue is because we wanted the blue everywhere else. I'm aware it helps a lot, especially towards the recesses, actually. Just giving it that ever so slight... I don't know the best word for it, but just that little bit of a blue hue in there really helps. And you essentially, I would paint a translucent blue over all of that area and then come in and then just redo the white again, but even smaller than we've done now. So just creates a little bit of colour. It definitely does. It definitely does, and that's absolutely something that I think you need to do when you're painting metallic grey. But because we're going to use blue on it, I didn't want it to sort of merge into one, and because I'm not particularly skilled when it comes to non-metallic metal of any description, especially silver. I didn't want to do that, get too blue, and then have it all sort of blur into one thing, especially to go through all the effort of painting fucking non-metallics. But you're absolutely right. You are right. Genuinely unpopular opinion, but I prefer true metallics. I do. I think for a display piece, if you're painting a diorama, knock yourself out. Non-metallic the fuck out of that. Go for it. Show off all those blending skills that you've created and learned. Show off all of the things that you can do with light reflections on your non-metallics. Go for it. If you're painting a mini for the tabletop, I think it looks dumb. I'm really not a fan of it at all, because your mini will look great from, say, this angle. Oh god, he's beautiful, look at the shadows. And then you do that, you're like, oh, those shadows look a bit weird. And then you do that, and you're like, what the fuck have you done? I don't like it. Whereas true metallics, and true metallic metal isn't just a case of paint it gunmetal, wash it black, highlight silver. It is taking a metallic color and then adding other colors to it, such as black, grey, white, blue, purple, green, whatever, to push the hues in different directions, but keep an actual metallic element to your paint. So you could use metallic medium, which I know is in the ProAcryl expansion set for their metallics. And that's another reason why we didn't buy their metallic set, because, well, then I've got every metallic color ever imaginable using that metallic medium. Not just the 8 colors in the set, but every other color past that point. And again, this was mostly about testing the paints and seeing what we thought of the paint brand, rather than having the easy way to do shit. Hence, fucking around with non-metallic gold. What's your opinion on coloured metallics? I feel they have their place. I think they have their place as well. I think that place is far than the B for bin. They're not for me. Is the only thing I've really got on those. Don't get me wrong. 12-year-old me thought that GW's Amethyst, which was their metallic purple, and they did a metallic blue, can't remember what it was called, and they did a metallic green. 12-year-old me thought they were the tits. Absolutely the tits. But adult me is very much against that. I don't even like Candy Coat, and this is coming from somebody that has a Candy Coat Alpha Legion army of Primaris Marines. And the reason I don't like it is because what I learned during the painting of that army is it's extremely, extremely hard to highlight that. So you end up with panels that are kind of flat. Comradeson! How you doing, bro? So yeah, I've got my own sort of prejudices, I suppose, against certain techniques. But that's still just because stylistically it's not what I like, and art is very subjective. There are plenty of people out there that don't like the style I paint my minis, and that's cool. That's totally cool. There are plenty of people out there that absolutely love the heavy metal style of drawing boxes around shit, and that's cool. But it's also cool that I don't like those things. Because if we had every artist painting exactly the same, what a boring world we'd live in. Let's say everyone painted the same way that the heavy metal team paint. And then let's take someone like Darren Latham, who is one of the best painters that GW have. Definitely. His stuff wouldn't look as good. Because when he paints his own toys, yes, he uses some techniques that they use on the heavy metal team. Bollocks. Oh, I've got to fix that in a minute. While he uses some of those techniques, he uses a lot of other techniques as well. And he certainly uses a lot of other companies' paints, which is why his YouTube channel had to be shut down. And before anyone slams Games Workshop for that, when you work for a large company and you are well known as working for that company, if you then promote one of their competitors' products, you can be fucking sure you're going to be called into your boss's office and be torn down. Possibly fired. So, whilst, sure, it sucks, it's a thing that's completely fine in the business world. And I can't not support GW for that. I think that was a little bit of naivety to imagine that would be fine. But Darren's a decent guy. You know, I'm not saying he's dumb by any stretch of the imagination. But you kind of had to see that coming. Right, nearly done. Nearly done. Non-metallic gold trim on fucking shoulder pads. Ugh. I feel like there's something wrong with me doing this. I think it looks okay. I actually really like the gold. Just thinking I could do a Blood Bowl team like this. We got to paint 16 minis, tops, probably. It's never happened. Never fucking happened. Don't know. He did that in his private time, just basically sent shit. Not really, because a lot of contracts that you sign, you will be, there'll be a clause in there telling you you are an ambassador for the brand and that you must represent that brand at all times. It's often called like a morality clause as well. So if you're a sports personality, then whatever you do, you have to be promoting the right lifestyle and that kind of thing. So I have no issue with it. Metal style, the reason it's prominent amongst Games Workshop is actually because it's very easy to teach, both to their staff and to little Timmy. Little Timmy is my name for any new hobbyist, especially a young new hobbyist. But a lot of GW staff aren't great painters, but you can teach them to draw boxes around stuff. You know. They got one of our print jobs. We went off and told one of our biggest customers that it's cheaper at X place. They told our boss, and he got sacked on the spot for grocery college. Yeah, absolutely. If you work in a fishing company, they also can't fire you for eating bread. Sure, I get what you're saying there, but I don't think that's an applicable argument. If you work at a fishing company where you say fish and then package salmon, but you're a public figure at that company, and then you are shown quite favourably looking towards another company's salmon, then that's not a good thing for your company. And you probably will have signed something in your contract to say that you are an ambassador for your company and you must support it and show good faith towards it in all things. Especially a public forum, whether it's a TED Talk, what do they call them? Christ, can't remember the word. Like when you go to one of the Warhammer events and they have a seminar, that's what I was trying to think of. A seminar, or whether it's a YouTube channel. Like, whatever you do of those things, they are all public, and you are essentially telling the public that the paint that your company creates and manufactures is no good because this is better. Now, I appreciate that wasn't what he was saying, but that's certainly how the company can interpret that, and it's not a far cry to think that. I'd hardly call a pro painter a niche hobby a celebrity, but you can be a celebrity within that niche. I mean, how many people here haven't heard of Darren Latham, Angel Heraldez, Sergio Calvo, Mark Masclans? The list goes on, you know. There's a massive list of painters. Just because we live in this tiny little part of the world and the internet doesn't mean you can't still have a celebrity. It's just you're not going to see them on a coffee table magazine like you would perhaps The Rock or someone similar. It's currently the biggest argument in UK employment law regarding how far companies go with the brand ambassador stuff. Yeah, it is. But it's something that you kind of have to have common sense over. There's a lot of employee law that dictates what you can do as a person, and what your employers can do regarding your personal freedom. For instance, I was once told that I had to give up a second job I had when I worked at a bank. I was told you can't do this and be a chef in the evening because we don't think you'll be able to work effectively. I was shit at my job, but it wasn't for that. I was shit at my job because I hated my job. But there'd be no difference between me going and working in a kitchen for 4 or 5 hours after my shift at the bank and me going to a gym and absolutely smashing the weights for 4 to 5 hours after my shift at the bank. Certainly in terms of my productivity. So I was very much, I don't like that. I thought it was something else I had to clean up. Yes, it was just up here. But it's all down to the terms of your contract. And you should always question anything like that whenever you get signed up for a job. It's like wearing a McDonald's uniform and going and eating in Burger King and KFC. Yeah, it does. Yeah, absolutely. And that would be definitely frowned upon. Always keep your employer's details off social media. Yeah, absolutely. Mine is so far out of date. Not that it matters anymore anyway, because I'm my employer now. But mine is so far out of date because I realised that was a very bad thing to do. So it's never updated it. I should have removed it rather than never update it, but just never got around to it. Pretty much don't use Facebook. Right, there we go. That is non-metallic gold. And I think that's come out really, really well. I'm very happy with it. It's not something I do often at all. And like I said, my silver is not good, especially on large areas as well. It's really not good. But non-metallic gold I do for things like gold thread on banners and stuff like that. Because I can't see why you'd ever put... Oh, cock. Just realised we've missed 2 bits. Lasai. Got these 2 fucking belt buckles to do, which I completely forgot about. I didn't even see them, I just remembered that they were there with a sense of dread. But hey, 2 little belt buckles. It's not like that massive set of shoulder pad trim. The only annoying part of this is I've literally just run out of my yellow and white mix, so I've got to mix up some more. That's it. That's the only irritating part of what we're about to do. And I'll keep telling myself that until I believe it. They're in his fucking armpit. You can't even see the damn thing. Right, so that's the base colour. Put in our shadows. Just in the shade up to there. We'll let this part be the darkest area and shade down to there. We've got a little bit of wet blending action going on. Completely unintentionally. There we go. And then all of that could be dark. And here we'll do darkness going down that way. Bit of darkness around the hook thing that you got belt. Cock it! Actually missed that bit. Bollocks. Fucking chaos characters and stuff, there's always that one bit of trim that you fucking miss. Is there anything else that we've missed? No. If there is, it's not gold anymore. This is the last bit of gold. Damn it. We're not going to get the bone done as well. Oh well. Oh well. Doesn't matter. So that means that next stream, which is tomorrow, we've got to do the bone, we've got to do the blue, we've got to do a little bit on the hair, which won't take long. That's like a 2-minute job. And then we've got to do the freehand. And the base will probably be done off camera. As somebody asked earlier on, yes, I'm going to put it on AstroTurf. I'm basically going to cheat, and rather than static grass it, I'm just going to get some static grass tufts. We've got loads of Rival Craft ones. Because they are absolutely the best, and we'll just jam tufts of various lengths and colours that are all green on the base, and then we'll probably get some thickish white paint and just slap down some turf marks basically. That's all. So very simple. No frills. Colour. The whole kick-off where I work, because someone posted they had a bad day at work, and they're just trying to say that brings the business disrepute. Yeah, I can't take the business's standpoint on that. They need to be adult enough to say, yeah, everyone has bad days at work, and then probably talk to the employee and find out if they can do something to help the employee have less bad days at work. But I don't care what you do. You could have the literal best job in the world. You're going to have good days and bad days. You can ask if there's any new kids watching the stream. Oh, I have 8 Chaos Marines that I'm never going to do anything with, so I'll split between people, base coat, black, and post them on. Holy shit! So Danny, I'll print you one, is offering to send out some Chaos Marines to people that are new to the hobby. So if you're new and you haven't, mistreated a cat, then speak up now. So anyone new to the hobby, I'm pretty sure that's his, we'll say, target audience with this generous gift. Speak up. Any mini is good for practice, even if you don't paint Chaos. So there's a lot of trim on a Chaos Marine. You could spend an hour or so doing some non-metallic gold like me if you want. Or you could just paint it gold, wash it purple and flesh wash and do it like I normally do and have it done so much fucking quicker. Annoyingly, just the other day, I was having a chat in one of the Warhammer chats I'm in on WhatsApp. It was the SN chat. That's one of the best things about qualifying for No Retreat is that all of the previous competitors go into a chat together, so you can all talk about the hobby you're doing and get advice and feedback from some amazing artists. And there's people like the Tabletop Tactics guys in there because they've all been to No Retreat, so I frequently talk to Mike, or Chef as you guys probably know. And it's a nice fun place to be, but we were having a chat about non-metallic metal and there's a bit of a divide in there on whether you should do it or not. And again, I came up with my argument from earlier on of non-metallic metal is great if you're doing like a display piece, otherwise it looks a bit weird, so on. And Nine ended up posting a picture in there not long after having that chat of here's my Blood Bowl Minotaur that I painted non-metallic metal on, because can you remind us which paints you normally use for good guy and bad guy gold? I can. I've just finished off the video, which is on Patreon now, of how to paint gold. So this is my good guy gold recipe. It works for both airbrush and for regular brushwork. And that's definitely worth checking out. That's using the Void Dragon as a resource. There's a little step in there that is something you only use on large scale minis like the Void Dragon. So we've got gold for the wings on that guy. For bad guy gold, I use Oro Necrotico or Negro gold from scale 75, and I wash it with army painted dark tone, so he goes gold to black, and highlight back up with the Negro gold, and then mix that in with some silver for final highlights for it, and that's that one done. That's a really good way of doing bad guy gold. Very new, not sure if I actually want to play, just appreciate the hobby for the art and design. I'm finding it quite relaxing, just having Jay stream in the background. Oh, that's good. Cheers, Spleen999. Oh yeah, for my last 4 into helping level, which is UK only because sod that postage. Yeah. JC, what up, bro? Currently painting dip, not paying for a couple of months and not really feeling it at the moment because it doesn't help not being able to play at the moment. Any thoughts or advice? Take a tip from Nike and just do it. Just do it. Pick up a brush, paint for an hour. That's all. if you paint for an hour, one of two things will happen. You'll either go, oh, fucking hell, thank God for that, I'm finished, that's my hour done, I can play Xbox or just sit and watch telly or whatever it is afterwards. And if that happens, that's fine. That's totally fine. But just do that once a week. See how it affects your painting mojo. The other thing that might happen, which is, in my experience, what usually happens, it may not be the case this particular time, but if it isn't, never mind. But if it is, great, is you paint for your hour, and then at the end of the hour, you don't realise that that's the end of the hour, and you're still painting. And you end up with this situation where you look at the clock and you're, oh fuck, it's dinner time. I've got to do X, Y, Z, and you find that you've enjoyed that, and that's how you get your mojo back a little bit. Varney, cheers to the follow. I totally thought your name was Vile Reeds. My bad. But yeah, that's a really good way of just trying to find your second wind with painting a little bit. I'm lucky in that I've never had a rut that's lasted more than a day. I love painting. I do. And I paint a lot. And there are some days where I'm not feeling too productive, but I still want to paint. And I'll find something that's a little bit more fun to do. And that helps me get through it. It might be as well that you just need a palette cleanser. So pick up something that's very different to what you normally paint, just a one model, and do a one-off. That's one of the reasons why we do giveaways, other than to give back to you guys, because you support me. You know, I couldn't do this as a living without you. That's right, you. But it means that I get to paint a mini that I'd never normally paint. Speaking of which, keep giving out some suggestions for some minis that we could paint for my birthday and give away. But I get to paint something like this and have this experiment of pissing around with the ProAcryl colours and enjoy myself rather than, oh, I've got to paint another Necron, or oh, I'm just painting this Grey Knights commission and we're just having to sit here and paint Grey Knights now. I don't have that. I have these palette cleansers in between. It's why we try and paint these minis on stream. It helps my stream time not only be me showing you what I'm painting your mini that you've just won as. Do Nagash for birthday giveaway. Fuck no. 8 hours. 8 hours. We're going to finish it in the 8-hour stream. The only way it's going to take me 8 hours to paint Nagash is if we do a really shit job of it. And that's a beautiful mini that I'm not ruining that. Go paint a grot in a flowered robe. Yes. Pushkin daisies. He was cool. Dip and dry brush. Get out. Right, that's our Minotaur. All the gold is now done. If there's anything that we haven't painted gold that should be gold, it's not gold anymore. We've still got about 10 minutes or so before we do the whip, so let's have a play with the reds. We've got a really bright red. Bold. Firol. Is that an F sound, or is that a Phi? Firol red? I don't know. We're going to use this. Pyrol. Thank you very much, Squeezo. We're not doing Canoness Viridian. I don't like it. That, again, is one of those minis that you would have to spend a lot more than 8 hours on. Also, it's fucking fine crap. And we're absolutely not painting a fine crap mini. So we'll take some of this bold ProAcryl red. We're going to take some black. We're going to mix these two together. And this is one of my favorite ways of painting red, is start with a mixture of red and black and then work up to just a very bold red. I think you get a lot of really standout vibrancy with it. Also, having mixed it with black, it tends to paint on as a first coat really, really well. And so you can get good coverage with this really, really easily. How bright is the orange? Paint a Gundam for the birthday stream? No. No. Toy soldiers. The orange is actually quite bright. Like, by the time it's dry, it's not so bright, obviously, but it is quite a bright orange. We'll probably end up using a little bit of either the orange or the yellow for our final highlights on our red, but we want a solid, bright, very in-your-face red, because this knee pad, for instance, might end up in your face. Right, have we got any more spikes on the lower portions? No, nothing across the chest. There's the big shoulder pad one and those two, and that is it, right? I think so. We've got some blue base coats to do there, to remember that. It's good, but ain't it a Troll Slate Orange? It isn't any Troll Slate Orange, you're absolutely right. Troll Slate Orange is fucking legit as an orange. Orange is one of those paints that is extremely difficult to manufacture, because orange pigments are usually fucking terrible. They're really not good. Which is why anytime I want to paint something orange, I'm almost always mixing it myself. And having a really, really strong red pigment and a really, really strong yellow pigment are absolutely key to the success of that, obviously. That's why we love Flash Gets Yellow, the best yellow, and Kador Red Base from P3, which is an amazing, amazing red. Apparently this red is very good, and we're looking forward to seeing it in its full power. We used the red on the skin tone. We went pretty ham with our skin tones. Not beef, ham. This guy's definitely a pig boy now. To really try pushing some of the mixes with these colours and seeing how they interact with each other. And we wanted a sort of laughing cow-esque look to it. Which by the time we get our brushed highlights on the skin, or the hide, I guess, we should achieve pretty well. Horns, spikes rather, done. Could do his horns in red as well, but I wanted to just try out different ways of playing around with the bones. So we've got the skulls there to do. We'll do a slightly different version of bone on those. What about painting an Altharium? Is that the one that's in bone armor, stood up with two swords out? Because somebody asked me about that. No. That mini, you can either paint in 8 hours and way less and do a shit job, or you can paint it in way more than 8 hours and do a great job. And there almost isn't a middle ground. How do you know which one's a fine crap? I've been around for the releases, which helps, but normally it will say plastic or resin miniature. If it's resin and it's Games Workshop, it's going to be shit. We've got one of those in the cart. Which we'll put up, so we will put a poll up on Discord, so !Discord, come and join in the fun there. There's about 500 members now in our Discord server, so we're getting some really good activity in there, nice hobby chats, and it's a very positive, very supportive crowd. I also don't spam it with a bot telling everyone when I go live on stream and all that sort of shit, which I fucking hate that. I've left so many Discord servers because of things like that. I refuse to do it, so don't worry, you're not going to get notifications all the time. If it's a Patreon notification, it doesn't go in the normal channels, it goes in the Patreon channels only. And seeing as you guys have literally bought into myself and my particular brand of entertainment and painting, then I feel you're probably okay with that. But we really try and avoid all of that one. Oh, I've got one of the Gits ones. I've got... I can't see him on the shelf. I've got man with a moon face stood on a rock. I don't know his name. Timmy. It's not Timmy. There we go. Oh, fuck. I can't remember what he's called. Loon Boss. That's probably it. Yeah. Sounds about right. He was in the box set, I think. Oh, given him, he got donated to the stream, so we've used him in a giveaway once, but he wasn't the one that was picked. We've had some good minis suggested. Some of it is stuff that painting in 8 hours is a challenge to do really, really well. And some of it is stuff that, like, yeah, okay, that's a fine mini for an 8-hour challenge. That should give me plenty of time to work on some special effects going on it, as well as just here's the mini and we're done. But we're going to be painting the mini and giving it away to a subscriber. Currently, some of my favourites that are in there are Drazar. He's a really cool mini. I'd just like to paint him. We've got a Harlequin suggestion out of the Solitaire, but if we end up with that, I'll probably just use the Shadow Seer that I've got here that I've already bought for a giveaway at some point anyway. They're just fun Harlequins. You've got a lot of freedom to just do whatever the fuck you like, and I really enjoy that in a miniature. Other fun ones, Gotrek Gurnison, that's a real challenge to do in 8 hours, because I think if you did that, you'd really want to go ham with some of the special effects. Like Marco's is really nice. His is a little bit too much with the OSL, I think, because it's difficult to see some of what's going on. Your eye is completely drawn to that light, and some of the detail kind of falls away, which fits exactly the setting he wanted to paint it in, so I'm not saying that's a bad thing. But for me, we go through all these stages of applying massive amounts of contrast to our toy soldiers so that you see all the detail. But I did like what he did with him. It's just I'd have gone a little less. The Bone Reaper Mortisan. I don't know which one we picked. It was that one. Yeah, the Mortisan Soul Reaper with the side across the top. I think that's really, really cool. I think that's a really, really cool mini. There's a lot going on there, and we can add in some cool looking special effects and do something kind of nice with him. There's going to be a lot of airbrush work, and there's some heavy washing, and there's some really nice build-ups with highlights. You've got one? You can do a paint along then. Alright, let's mix in some yellow with this. We're going into the whip gallery as soon as we finished off the red. So let's see what we can get out of an orange using these colours. Just a nice, still very much red, but a warm orange. And then exclamation point whip or exclamation point Discord, your choice. One's quicker to type though. Go over to Discord, join our work in progress gallery over there, and post a couple of pictures of what you've been working on. 3 or less. Don't spam it, otherwise I will skip some of them, and I feel bad about that, but I want everyone to have the chance to get their work shown on stream, so no hogging. Unless it's literally a pig, and then I might let you off, but that's still unlikely. But yeah, go do that. We'll go into the whip. We'll have a chat about the whips. We'll give some feedback, some advice, some constructive criticism, or some outright flaming. It depends on who you are. You could do lighting effects from the floor, making him look like he's raising the dead. Yes. Yes. That'd be a really, really good mini to use a completely inverted way of painting, so all the bright points are coming up from below and all the dark is around it. So yeah, that's a good shout on that one. I'm liking that. But we could do it with anything. You can do it with a Space Marine advancing down a corridor where all the lights are off and there's those like luminescent strips down the floor. Do it on that as well. It's just having a mini that's super cool on as well. That helps. Okay, so what have we learned today? We've learned that this brush had an errant hair that was really fucking around with it. And once we've gotten rid of that, it's behaved really well. It still blows out a little at the tip, becomes a bit of a chisel, which I'm not a huge fan of, but we've managed to muddle through painting fucking tiny highlights on non-metallic shit today and done okay with it. We painted white today, and the white isn't wonderful. It's not very smooth. I don't want to blame that on the paint. I'm going to blame that on myself and not having much experience painting white using these particular colors. We basically used the bold titanium, the bright warm gray, and we turned the dark warm gray into a glaze that didn't really work very well to get some of our recesses in. So the white has not been the easiest way of painting white. Certainly I'm a bit more used to what I would normally use and some white ink, which makes all the difference really. So didn't have a great time painting the white. Our non-metallic gold though, I'm really impressed with it. I really like what we've done with it. We've got some nice bright areas to that, some really good highlights with it, even with this brush that I don't particularly love. And that took about an hour and 15 minutes, hour and 20 minutes to do the whole of that gold. So not bad at all. The red works really well. By the time you start mixing some yellow into that, the oranges aren't great. I get a little bit more out of that using Kador red and some Flash Gitch yellow, I think. So I'm not overly sold on the ProAcryl reds just yet. We've got more time to practice with these guys. So we've got an entire other mini to do before we are finished with our road test. So on the next stream, we're going to finish this guy off hopefully. We've got the blue to highlight, we've got all the skin to highlight both the hide sections of it and the actual sort of flesh sections of it. We've got some bone to do, which I'm really looking forward to because we've got some real cool elements to this model. Then we've got to paint over this shoulder part that's all non-metallics a Dallas Cowboy style star. So that's a blue star with a white surround to it. And that should be a 5-point star, but I'm thinking we could maybe try and do a Chaos 8-pointed star instead, because that fits the theme a bit more, but still have the blue star with the white surround fitting of the dumbass Cowboys Blood Bowl team. And we've got a number to paint on the back. It should be the same, blue with a white surround to it. We want it to definitely have sports day style kit on it rather than look like battle armor. I love Blood Bowl being a very abstract part of the old world where you have Orchid Ass and the other like faux brand name things. So we've had fun with this guy today. We'll probably do the base off stream. It's just going to be me just getting a load of static grass tufts on and evening that out. We've got to do the hooves at the same time we do the hair, be the same colours. But he looks cool. It's looking good. It's enough about what I've been doing though. Let's see what you've been doing. !whip, !Discord, head on over. We're starting off with Gitface, who's been painting a knight and some custodies. Have we got the same colour scheme? Got Vallejo Premium Airbrush Colour Metallic set to try some of the Grey Knights, and you may go through the airbrush with a the red and yellow on Valerian. I see. There's a bit of something weird happening with that gold, dude. If you put a yellow contrast paint over the top of it, because you've got this weird recess down here at the bottom right, then you've got this weird splodge in the middle of the top hatch. You flooded it. Oh, okay. Alright. That happens, man. All about trigger control, obviously, but you know that. Makes sense, though. Makes sense. The red looks nice. Let's look at Valerian. That's very heavily tinted with lights. It's difficult to make out the red. Let's look at this pick. It's a nice gold. It's a solid gold. So definitely a good use of it. He's an interesting mini. It's a nice custodian guardsman, basically. I like what you've done. You'll really start to see how powerful this is, though, once you start getting into some of the other areas. Maybe you're doing like the hands leather, or those straps across the back of their gloves, and all that sort of thing. Get all that done, you'll really see how powerful this gold is. So far, though, mate, it looks good. Keep it up. Mr. Enigma is painting some... Wow. Possibly... Oh, that's Varag Ghoul-Chewer. Right. Like, what the fuck is that? These things are massive. God, he's a cool looking mini as well. There's a mold line towards the front of that fist that you need to clean up. The top one. Wow, what an epic sculpt that is. I love all the shit he's got on his armor. That looks really, really cool. Massive set of tusks on him. The Guinness is massive too. The Guinness is less than a pint from what I can tell there. So, top work, dude. I can't wait to see you paint this. That... Oh my god, I just worked it out. That's literally a body rammed on that shoulder spike, and it's properly sculpted out as well. You need to look at Varag Ghoul-Chewer for possibilities to go towards a Night Lord Demon Prince.
Yeah, how big is it?
Oh, you need to do some work. Like, you need to do a lot of work, but there's definitely some elements to this you could use. Nice, man. Nice. Very, very cool. Right, Markomania. Yes. Terminator Chaplains. Love them. Is this Torrentus or... Yeah, Hand Flamer. Nice. Like the base. I like the fact that you've got some nice little bits and pieces on there. The gold is looking good. This must be nearly finished. You've got a few bits of like detail to work on. Obviously the Crozius needs some lining in there. But I love Terminator Chaplains. They're brilliant minis. I'm not doing one for the birthday giveaway, but only because I might end up using them both anyway in my army. That's a really nice red that you've done on the cloak and the shoulder pad there. Contrasts really well with the white. I like the fact you come with a two-tone version of the cape. Light on the inside, dark on the outside. Armadillos. Yeah, nice. Really good. I've seen an awkward conversion of a Primaris Chaplain into a Tech Priest. Which one? The new one, I can see it. The old one, I think it's a pretty terrible mini. Why isn't the Crux Terminatus on both shoulders? Good point. Because he's super special and got awarded it twice. There you go. There you go. How did I guess you would say the Armadillo advert? Had to be done, mate. Had to be done. Been working on magnetizing my Ghost/Doomsday arc. Not even once. I noticed there's no guns on this, and is that how you're magnetizing it? I'm just not putting the guns on. Is it worth it? How stable is it? Is the question, and where are the guns? Is the other question, because those guns need to be there. The ribs are on a printed spine. So how does that work? Can you show me a picture of it like unassembled, or is it just that? Like, because the way to do it would be to magnetize the front section so that comes on and off, so that you can turn it into this sort of dragon boat head that you've got here. You'll get one later. Okay, man, cool. But yeah, Ghost Arc. They're such a paint. Crazy Ant, still early whip, but I want to do some brush blending practice. Belisarius call. It's a beast. Working on a printed conversion kit for it. Okay, sweet. Nice, mate. I see you getting that cloak working going on. Got a nice smooth transition there from your black to your red. This is exactly the same sort of thing that I was doing earlier on. Obviously taken to a much more extreme where there's actually still black left on the mini. Get the butt shot. It looks really good, but you can see a definite line where that lightest red comes in. So take some of your mid-tone and blend back up from over the red up into the middle of that section, and that will help to take some of that away. Looks good though, dude. Looks good. I'm assuming this is going to get the same kind of oil wash technique that you have used on a lot of your other minis. Little passages will also be on a printed clip that clips on after it's been pressed together. Okay. I'm looking forward to seeing it, dude. I am. I've got one of these to paint. He's literally sat on top of my pile of next commission to do. The AdMech stuff we've got. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. I'm sure yours is going to be banging as well though, mate. I love your style for stuff like this. Can't decide which basing I prefer. Trying for a Mars landscape with like a Giant's Causeway kind of thing. Did you look at Rumpelmaster's stuff like I suggested? And then did you look on it and despair? Because his is so good. He's gone with a desert basing scheme now, whereas it used to be a lot of greens. I loved the greens, I really did, but they weren't as powerful as his yellow desert sand. I really like what you've got here, these hexagons and stuff. Genuinely like those. You can barely see it in the mini here on the left, but I would definitely roll with this. But, and here's the thing, it's a large but you kind of want to paint those separate to having the minis on. So you've got to basically fix your minis down to some blank bases with the smallest dab of super glue, so you can paint the mini on the base, then do the bases, and then introduce the two. Yeah, so much not fun. Regluing Necrons down to a base is not good at all. But that's the base I'd go for, mate. Hyloth, spiders need to finish up and work on the riders. Oh, I'm not like anti-spider or anything. I don't really care. They're smaller than me, therefore done. But I probably got a back creep on those. They're fucking nasty. I love the ever so slight hazard stripes on the legs. yeah, they give me the fucking creeps, mate. Well done. Well done. Yeah, that's nasty. Top marks, mate. Top marks. Primus Miniature Painting. I saw this earlier on. You posted it, I think, super early in the morning, somewhere way back up here. Or was it in general? No, it must have been in general. But I did see it. I was kind of impressed with it. I'm liking what you're doing, bro. I think you need a lot more going on around the base. You've done a great job on like the corrugated walls, and the tank itself looks epic. But the base looks really, really flat, and I'm not entirely certain what's going on with these orange splodges. I guess it's going to be some version of a rusted thing. But you've got black and then orange, and I'm not sold. I don't know what the final look is meant to be, though, so I'm going to wait and see how you get on past that. But I love the tank. Really, really well done. Looks very natural. You could go, if you wanted to put a brighter colour on there, you could get some verdigris, sort of green jades, those sort of things, those like light teals going on. But if you did, I'd keep it to an absolute minimum. Let it stay dark, let it stay a little bit nasty looking. It's fucking great though, dude. Really, really good job. I can't wait to see that billboard when it's done. Gummer, nothing fancy, just getting my bases ready for spraying. Here's the best freehand you'll ever see. I swear he's never ever going to look at freehand again without going, is it cereal? Before he does anything else. I like it, mate. Getting your temple base in sorted out. So you don't need to spend fortunes on modelling materials. Have you played or painted any Blood Bowl? I've never painted Blood Bowl ever in my life. Ever. Never, ever, ever. That's what we've been working on all stream, bro. Sorry to give you a hard time. I've painted a load of Blood Bowl. I've been playing Blood Bowl since I was, I want to say about 12 or 14. It was somewhere in that like bracket. Blood Bowl 2nd edition set, the thick one that had Morgnathorg and I want to say Griff Oberwald on the front cover. I still got the board from that as well. I've got all of that kit somewhere buried in my pile of shame. I've got the original Nagaroth Nightmares team that are mostly unpainted. I've got the original Champions of Death team that are definitely unpainted. Apart from one of the mummies and my vampire special star player that I had for the team. He was cool, I liked him. I've got the metal human team that they did back in the, let's say, early noughties. I've got the plastic human team that they did for the last set, and somewhere the plastic human did the first set, and the orc team for the first set. Painted and in a box right up there at the top of my thing, I've got my new Champions of Death team, which I speed painted the whole team in about 8 hours. Just as a way of practicing, like just smashing through something with oils and airbrush. And that taught me a lot about where I can use the airbrush to speed things up. That's one of the reasons why we now use a lot of that sort of brush base coats and then airbrush to hammer through. And it really helps me out. And I've got a Nurgle team just up there, and you can probably just about see the, no you can't, the camera's going to, the Beast of Nurgle up there as well. I really want to do those. Oh shit, I've got a Nurgle Rotters team that I did way back. That was converted up out of some metal Pestigore and some metal ghouls from Fantasy and a couple of Chaos Warriors. That was a great team. And my Beast of Nurgle was a plastic ogre from the original kind of ogre release they did for Fantasy. It was like a massive hulking zombie, which was a set they brought out about 1994. That will be the one. That'll be 2nd Ed Blood Bowl. That had the clear plastic acetate range rulers and all that sort of shit. But yeah, I love Blood Bowl. It's one of my favourite games that GW ever made. Oh fuck, okay. Not mine, but only picking a conversion I can find. They've actually found a good way of making that mini, because he looks like a fucking tool with a pimp stick. Any other way. That, though, is actually quite cool. Probably needs to drop that pistol and pick up something else, though, right? That was the one you played. I loved it, dude. Wear Tag, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the stream, bro. We're just closing out, but stick with us. Heal off spider bases. You've done a decent job of doing this technique, but it really isn't my favourite kind of basing scheme. One thing I'll suggest is that you will need to varnish these, because a few people I know that have done this kind of thing, whether it's been this or ice or something else, the crackle paint has flaked off and you get left with like these big lumps of just whatever you painted the bottom of the base with. So maybe give them a good varnish, like maybe do a gloss and then do a matte as well on top, just to take away some of the shine. Always know I had an obsession with collecting small reptiles. I knew right from the get. Get out. These are cool. These are cool. That treeman looks a bit weird. I like the colour schemes, but the model's a bit of an odd one. The elves look great though. I never bothered with any of this, like, oh, this is what positional player they are. That thing at the front is super cute. That's an awesome ball. Awesome ball. Best I can find, but we'll do a Kurnoth Hunter conversion. Okay, cool. I don't mind the actual like Treeman model, the new one they've come out with. That looks like something that you might find in like a Dark Crystal or something. I kind of like it. He's a bit weird, but I do like it. Nice looking Blood Bowl team though, mate. Oh, turn counter markers. I was like, what the fuck is that? I thought it was a totem pole. They were both stacked on top of each other. I mean, that's a really weird tree man. It's not a tree man. Nice job. Yeah, looking good, dude. I'm guessing you had to buy 2 sets of the models though, because you've ended up with 4 of those tokens. All bases and balls are magnetized. You magnetize? Yes, I did the same for my undead team, and then I spent an unreasonably long time filming me flicking a ball, like throwing the ball so it'd bounce on the mat and then bounce towards a base and then and get brought into the base. And I had 2 balls magnetized and I was trying to get them both to do it, and several times I got one or the other to do it, but I never got both. So after spending about 40 minutes fucking around, gave up. Magnetize it is the best way. What I used to do back in the old days of playing Blood Bowl, all of your minis were on 25mm bases, and so I got a 40mm base and put a ball on that, and then that base would go underneath the player holding the ball. But now they're on larger bases and it doesn't work. But it made it so much easier to see than the current version. But you can't do it with a 50mm base because that's too big for the squares. But good work, mate. Really, really good work. I like it. Nice little Blood Bowl team to round out what we've been doing, painting our Blood Bowl mini. Nightmare, welcome back, bro. So we've had a lot of fun painting some non-metallic gold, which I'm actually relatively proud of. It helps the silver out a lot because it darkens it the fuck down. On the next stream, which is tomorrow night, starting at 9 PM, we're going to finish off the bone, So we've got the horns, the skull there, and the skull there to do. We're going to get all the blue sorted out, and then we've got some freehand to do. We're going to do an 8-pointed chaos star, but in the style of the Dallas Cowboys symbol, and then probably a 13 on his back. We've got the hair and the hooves to do. The base, we're just going to get a load of static grass tufts and plonk them all over it to give it a kind of AstroTurf-ish look. But there you go, that's what we've done with our Minotaur. I'm really liking him so far. I hope you guys are too. Don't forget, if you are on Patreon, yesterday the final part of how to paint the Void Dragon went up. So that was all about how to do the gold. We've done a version of the gold which was done with the airbrush, and a version of the gold that was done primarily with a regular paintbrush, and the glow as well. So all of the things like how to do the spear, how to do all this arcing lightning, this little doodad and that little doodad, all of that went up. The second part is on YouTube, where you can find how to do the blades, the blackstone, and the bone cron. There's also a written guide on all of those sections on Patreon now as well. So !YouTube and !Patreon for that. Stay tuned to my Instagram, so !Social, where we always do an update before we go live, just in case Twitch doesn't do one. But the photos of this guy will be up very soon next week. These guys are nearly finished. There's Zarek, the Silent King himself. Just got a few details to pick out on these guys, and then all of that is being put together. It's a fucking brilliant mini. I've had a lot of fun painting it. I've had a lot of aggro painting it as well, though. So it's been a bit of a roller coaster. So thanks very much for tuning in. Was it right in the Reavers second edition box? It was always humans versus orcs, and the usual human team is the Reavers. So. Right, let's go find somebody to raid. Dinoff, how you doing? No Gold Hawk today. Short Hawk today. Dinoff. Miniatures Den is on. We raid them a lot. And the Lindy is on. There seems to be very few people on, actually. We'll probably raid in the Lindy, but what we'll do first is we'll go and browse and search for the mini figures tag. Let's see who's doing what. Let's find someone that's got something interesting going on. We've got some more Blood Bowl being painted. We've got somebody doing some, Imperial Fists. That looks cool. We've got somebody here doing either a large scale mini or a bust that looks quite cool. Painter Life, green art of colours. Let's go check that out. Just when I like starting the raid when I join. Hey man, the schedule didn't change. If you have any questions in English, I'm happy to answer them. Oh, I don't know what they normally broadcast in then. One sec. Of course, they're not actually talking. Okay, I'm guessing some sort of Northern European, Scandinavian, based on some of the names in there. Okay, we're going to go over to the Lindy then. Like I said, not many people on. Kind of a quiet Saturday. But when we get there, let Nell know where you've come from. She's painting the Zench weird dude. It looks like he should be in Pan's Labyrinth with all the fucking eyes on sticks. He looks great. Spam those emotes when we get there. I will see you guys very soon. Peace out, everyone. Have a good weekend.